All right, thank you very much. Once again, welcome back to class, right? And like I said, we are going to look at the assignment, all of them, right? We have, let me bring the question to screen again, right? This is a question, Excel task, right? Yeah, here is the question. Calculate, I mean, 2 sections, about 8 questions in the first section, and then 4 questions in the second section, right? I said that we shouldn't attempt 3 and 4 yet. I said that because the class had not been treated. That's VLOOKUP, and we have treated that in the last class, an index match function. But then I'm not going to give you an assignment. It depends on how we run today, right? If we actually get to pivot table today, then I'm going to give this 3 and 4 as a question. I mean, part of our last question, to wrap up the training, right? But then if we couldn't get to pivot table today, then it's going to be an assignment against the next class. Right? So let's quickly run the assignment. So somebody's trying to join and then it's not going through. And I don't want to keep that person waiting too long. Joel, are you here? Joel. He has not joined. Okay, he's in. Mr. Joel. I think he's in. All right. So now the first question in there, right? Like I always say, right, the first thing that I always encourage that we do when we have a data set like this is to clearly run through the data set. Just let's go through it. Let's understand what it's talking about. What is the, let's understand what that data set, that we have collected, what it actually means, right? And then we can see from the columns, right, we have the ID, addresses. Now, addresses are given in terms of states, right? And they are given in abbreviation, right? But then if you have been going through the data set, we understand that this CA stands for California. This is a data set from America, US, right? So these are states in America, right? This US, this California, this is Texas, TX is Texas, this Pennsylvania, right? This Miami, and like that, right? New York, Florida, and all of that, right? So it's the data set. Let's see, the data set is actually talking about some employee of an organization and how they take loan, how they take bank loan, from that organization, right? Or we could say that some people are taking loans from a bank, right? And then before loan will be given to people, I mean, the same way it is everywhere, right? They will need to do some kind of background check, right? Something like KYC, right? That's we made them understand who they want to give out the loan to, would they be able to pay, and all of that, their background and all of that, right? And the data set shows that this particular employee, of course, their names is not there, right? But they have an ID, right? Like the loan ID. That's what the ID is going to stand for, right? So this particular employee has a title, employee title, accounting, MKC accounting, right? Is a grade E staff, right? Home ownership, his own home ownership is he doesn't have a house, right? He rents, he lives in a rented apartment, right? He lives in a rented apartment, and then some other persons lives in a mortgage apartment, right? And we know what mortgage is compared to rent, right? Rent, we are paying for the rent, maybe monthly or annually, as the case may be. But mortgage, you are paying to own. So you are paying until you pay to a particular point and the house becomes yours, right? And some other persons owns the houses, right? And we have issue dates. That's the date that loans, were given and all of that. And we have record of their last payment, right? We have the record of loan status, right? Is that person the loan status at the moment? Does he have a loan that he has fully paid, or is still charging a loan, right? We have charge off, we have fully paid, right? We have if he's still paying, we have a date for his next payment, or if he has fully paid, right? And he just took another one, so we have next payment date. We have membership ID, maybe how you became a member of a group or whatever, right? We have the purpose of the loan, right? Some is taking loan for car, and then people are taking loan for several reasons, right? We have people taking for car, right? And then credit card, I think they are just filling up their credit card with the loan and all of that. We have subgroups. We have terms of loan, right? This particular, I'm on this row, right? So terms of loan, this particular person takes the loan for 36 months, right? And this is taken for 60 months and all of that. So they have various type of terms of their loans, right? This verification status, right? Before loan was given out to this person, there were verification processes, activities that were carried out, and then this person, right, the source of his income, right, was verified. That's when they could now give the loan to the person. But this person not verified, it means the source of the source of his income, maybe to check if he will be able to pay, was not verified. However, they gave the loan to him anyway, but that's not the interest, right? We have annual income, what their annual income is. This person gets 48,000. Of course, we can say it's dollars because the data set is taken from US, right? This is 42,000 and all of that, right? We have also DTI, right? DTI is, let's see the meaning, right? The meaning is somewhere here. DTI here stands for debt to income ratio, right? Debt to income ratio. And then the debt to income ratio for this guy is 0.01 and all of that, right? So we have their DTI, we have their installment, how much they are paying in installments. Don't forget that they have, okay, this guy is paying $109.43 installment and all of that, right? The interest rate on the loan, we have the interest rate on their loan recorded also, right? The actual loan amount they borrow, right, is also recorded, right? So this guy here borrowed 3,000, right? Purpose is for car, right? After the source is verified, right? And then he's paying this amount and all of that, right? The total account, right? That's the total amount in the account as at now, as at when the loan was to be disbursed, right? I mean, total amount in the account, but then the time is not actually specified, but then we don't need it in the question, so it makes no change, right? So this is, he has $4 in the account, this had $9 in the account, and the total payment at the end of the day, right? Don't forget they borrowed 3,000, and at the end of the day, we'll be paying 3,939, right? $3,939 dollar, right? He borrowed 3,000, but now we're paying $3,939 enough. So this is what the data set is talking about, right? So I just run through the data sets just for us to have understanding what the data set is talking about, which is the same way we should also handle data sets when we want to work on them, right? Before even going about to analyze or do whatever thing, run through the data sets, right? Make sure that the data makes meaning to you so that you have a good understanding of what you want to do, right? So that's the idea, right? So let's quickly answer those questions. And the first question A, right, is saying that now I've sectioned them. Section 1 is to treat SUMIF, COUNTIF, and COUNTIFs, because those are we did them at the time, right? And then the first question is asking, calculate the total loan amount for all applications from California. Calculate the total loan amount for all applications from California. So many people applied for the loan from several locations, from several states, right? Let's go through the data set again, right? So these are the people that have applied for loan from several states, right? From several states, California, Texas, Pennsylvania, Miami, and all of that. These are the people that have taken the loan. So if I need to calculate the total loan they have applied for, right? The total loan they have applied for. So if I need to calculate the total amount, so I'll just come to the loan amount, what they requested for, and sum all of them together, and it will give me the total loan they have applied for, right? But now the question is saying that what I want to sum is the total loan that only the people in California have applied for. You understand? The total loan that only the people of California. So I need to pick this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, right? And every California that I see, so Texas is not included, PA, which is Pennsylvania, is not included, Miami is not included. So I cannot just go ahead to sum all of them together. So that is why this is a special question, right? If it is to sum all of them together, I will just use sum function, and I'm going to deal with them. But then how do I need to pick up CA, California from 14,385 data sets, rows of data sets? That is very wide. It's a big data set, right? So I cannot be picking California one after the other and add them one after the other. It's not going to work. So what do we do here, right? So we do, I feel like asking somebody, right? Somebody, what function do we use here? What function? I mean, we've done it. So somebody should just lead us. What function do we use here?
I think we filter first.
Okay, so that's what most people do from what I checked, right? And then that's why, even though if you filter first, right? So many people filter first, which is fine, and go ahead to use some function, right? If you do that, you most likely not get the correct answer, because I actually talked about that specifically, right? When we're doing when I was treating some of the functions, right? And that is because function, when you filter, I explained that Excel will collapse the cells that are not concerned, right? But if you are doing sum, it's going to be sum total. So it will pick those cells and still sum them together. So you will not get the answer. So if you have filter first and do sum, your answer is wrong. You understand? And then if you want to filter first, what you would have used that will work is to use subtotal. And I run through that also, right? If you use subtotal, then you will now pick the actual task that you want to do. That will still be correct. But in the case of this question now, the question, if you look at the question, I stated what to use, right? You can see section 1, SUMIF, COUNTIF, and COUNTIF. So you're expected to use any of these functions that is there, right? So that's what we are supposed to use. So which means that instead of using subtotal, actually, there is a function that we can actually use that will work, that will make sense easily, right? And that is the SUMIF, right? So sincerely, nobody actually used the SUMIF. So everybody filtered first, right? Okay, so except somebody, yes, somebody used SUMIF. All right. So let's look at it. 20 minutes. I know some people will soon leave us by 8 o'clock, and I quickly want to run this assignment.
I think, yeah, that's true. SUMIF, then filter
yes.
for Caliph.
So thank you. So now look at it. If we are working on Excel, right, it's also our it's also good for us to be able to manage the Excel worksheet and put in our answer, right? So you can decide to create each sheet for each of the questions, which it will still be fine. But then whichever way your Excel sheet will look like at the end of the day is a function of how you can manage your Excel sheet, right? So I'm not going to create new sheet for all of them. I'm just going to put them on somewhere here like this and call the first question loan amount from California, right? I'm going to call it loan amount from California, right? I call it that. And let me just bold it, maybe paint it white. Okay, paint it white and color it this same color that we've been using here. So I'm going to use my SUMIF, right? Why is this SUMIF, right? I want to perform a task. The operation is sum, right? Then the sum has criteria. You understand? So the question will now be, how many criteria? Is the criteria 2 or 1, right? The criteria is just saying that only the people in California is not bringing other things to it, right? So that is SUMIF. It has 1 criteria. If it is 2 or more criteria, I'm going to use the SUMIF. But as it is 1 criteria, so it is SUMIF. And you can see the first argument that it brings to me is asking me what's the range, right? The range is the group of all possible criteria, right? All possible criteria that exist. So, and that is talking about, the location. Yes, thank you. So I'm going to select all of them. I always advise to lock, right, and say comma. So criteria itself now, among those group of criteria, what is the area that we actually want to sum together? That is California, right? And that's all, right? And the last argument is a sum range. So what is now the numbers I want to sum together is the loan amount. So I'm going to select all of them, and unlock it, and I say enter. That is my answer, right? It's as simple as that. So because it's talking about money, right? And I'm a good Excel user, so I should let them know that it is talking about money. So I'll filter it, I will format it with comma to show that it's money. So now I can see that it is 30,553,125 dollars, right? And because it's money also, I should put my currency in them, right? I'm going to use Control-1 to go to the formatting cell dialog box and go to custom, right? And that custom, sorry, I'm going to go to accounting rather. It's an accounting, and I'm going to put a symbol, right? I'm going to look for US dollar, right? There are so many dollars there, but then I'm going to pick US dollar and say, okay, and my dollar is there, right? So that's my answer. It's as simple as that. Right. So number 2, 24. Okay. I think we'll finish before 8 o'clock. All right. So let's see the second question. Is somebody trying to join us? Nobody. No one. All right. So what's the second question? The second question is asking us, right? Find the total income of applicants who are home owners. Total income. So this is talking about total income, right? So the operation is to find the total income. So it's to sum the total income. But then what's the criteria? Only the criteria is people who has home, right? Home owners who own a house, right? So that is also direct. That is also SUMIF. So income, I'm going to call this income of homeowners, right? I'm just going to call it anything that I can easily relate with. So I'm going to format it, that, and then that, right? And it's still SUMIF, right? It's still SUMIF. I'm going to say equals to SUMIF, right? Range is where is the criteria? That is on homeowners. So let's look for that's home ownership, right? I'm going to select all of them, right? I'm going to lock it, comma. What is the criteria? So the homeowners there is what I need. So that will be home, not rent, not mortgage. It is own, right? I'm going to say comma, and finally I have some range. So what are we looking? What are we doing there? We want to sum their income. So let's look for the income column. Total accounts. Where is the income column? Annual income. Yes, this is the annual income. So I'm going to select all of them, right? And I'm going to lock it, right? So my answer is that. So I'm going to format it to look good, right? That is 67 million. So the total income of homeowners among those that want to get loan is 67,713,325.51 dollars, right? It's talking about money, so it's fine that I put my currency, right? And I'm going to go to dollar. I'll look for dollar, the US dollar, right? I'm going to put in there. Yeah, that makes my answer. And it's as simple as that. So that's the second question. Let's see this third question. Right. We have done SUMIF. Any question with the SUMIF? Any question with the SUMIF? Okay, we are good to go. So look at this third question. Determine the total payment received for loans with an interest rate above 10%, right? Determine the total payment received for loan with interest rate above 10% and employment length of more than 5%. Determine the total payment. So we want to sum total payment together. Then receive for loans with an interest rate. So the criteria 1 is to consider the interest rate to find the total loan payment for people that their loan interest rate is greater than 10%. That's the criteria 1. And those people, they must also have employment length of more than 5 years. You understand? So you can see that we have two criteria in this one. And obviously that's going to be SUMIFS, right? So let's quickly go and do that. What should we call that question? Determine the loan payment for interest rates greater than, let's just find a name to call it. So I'm going to write in something there. All right. So let me accept people who are trying to join. Right. All right. Welcome everyone who has just joined us. So let's call this payment. Payment for just don't mind me. I don't want to use the whole of the cell. Interest rates, interest greater than 10, and interest greater than 10, and then employment above 5 years, greater than 5 years. All right, let's just leave it this way, right? Let me format it, this and that, right? Make it bold. And of course, we can see that that is equals to some ifs, right? Plug from it. Some ifs, right? And the first thing is asking us, in the case of some ifs, is sum range. So what we want to do, we want to sum, let's look at the question again. The question wants us to determine the total payment. So we want to sum the total payment received by those people. So let's go to that again, right? Total payments, let's look for this total payment. So sum range is total payment. I'm going to select all of it, right? And then lock it, right? Criteria range 1, you can see that because it is sum is, right? The criteria range are now 1, 2, 3, and all of that. So the first criteria is to consider people who their interest rate is greater than 10%, right? And this is interest rate here, right? This is interest rate. So we want to look for those ones that are their interest is greater than 10%. But then if you look at how it is here, it is given in fraction. So I'm going to cancel this and quickly do something. Let's convert this cell. Let's convert it to percentage so that it will be easy for us to pick, right? Many people may not be able to quickly convert this to interest. So once I just bring it to interest, you can see this interest under home tab, under number group, you can see the interest symbol, right? If you want to click it, and you can see that they are now in percentage rather. Percentage, that's what I wanted to use. Yes. So 19% is greater than 10, 15, but then 8 is greater than 10. So we can go ahead to respond to our question now. All right, so we'll say that equals to some ifs, right? Criteria range is total payment. I'm going to select and lock it, comma. So criteria range 1. Criteria range 1 is to consider people with criteria range 1 is talking about their interest rate, right? So I'm going to select all of them. This is the cell that is talking about interest rate, and I'm going to lock it, right? Comma. Now, criteria 1 is greater than 10%, right? How do we write it, right? You can see that there is 19%, 11%. If you pick any one of them, you are picking the exact. But what we need is greater than. So we cannot pick anything from here. We are going to write it. So you know how greater than is written in mathematics, right? So this is greater than, but then because it is not number that we want to write, it is not exactly number. That greater than is a symbol, which is a string, right? And because it's a string, it is no more a number. So assuming I'm just writing a number or I'm picking the cell, I won't bother to keep it in double apostrophe. But now I'm bringing a string into it. The greater than symbol is a string. So I'm going to keep it in double apostrophe. Then bring in the string, then say greater than 10%. That is the criteria 1. You understand? Then now, if I say comma, it goes to the next criteria. Sorry, I'm going to close the double apostrophe, then comma. Now it's asking me what is the criteria range 2, and that is talking about the employment length, right? So I'm going to look for column that has employment length. Where is that? Okay, this is it. Employment length. This is term. Employment length. Okay, this is it. So employment length, I'm going to select all of it, and lock it. Then what is now the criteria that we're actually looking for? And it says that are above 5 years, right? Above 5 years. So this is above 5 years. So this is 5 years. Sorry, let me check it. Is it above 5 years or let me see the question.
Above 5 years.
Above 5 years, right? Now look at it. If I select this, now there is something that is very important that we must note in this place. Now, if I select, there is no way I can select above 5 years. Because if I come here to say, let's look at something now. If I come here to say, you can say how I selected above in this place, right? So if I come here to say that, let me put it here. If I come here to say greater than 5 years, sorry, put this and say greater than 5, there's space between it, years, and lock it, right?
No greater
I'll
than
get
sign here. Greater than sign.
okay, greater than. If I say this, yes. If I say this now, this is supposed to be correct based on how we have approached this one, right? If I lock it, I'm supposed to get my answer, right? Okay, it actually worked. Okay, I thought it would not work. Okay, that's fine. So, but then I was thinking that the years, because we are mixing, this one is direct, it is 10%, it is number you can understand easily. But then this one is years. So if it is, if you try it and it didn't work, actually it will work. We can say that it works. But if it didn't work, something smart, a smart step that we can do, right, is to first of all come here. You can see that this is 9 years. Come and split years out of it so that we have only number remaining. And how to split the 9, we have talked about it, right? That is part of cleaning it. So it means we need to clean this particular column only and separate the years away from the numbers so that it will not give us issue, right? And we can use flash fill to quickly do that, right? If we need to do it on time. I told you flash fill is also genuine, right? I'm the one that just call it cheat, right? And in some specific interview, they will request not for flash fill not to be used, right? But then it's a genuine technique that you can use, right? And if flash fill is not going to work, I mean, if you don't want it to work, if you don't want to use flash fill, then you can just go ahead to use the text to column wizard, text split, and all of that, right? So, but then you can see it actually works. So that's our answer. So we have seen for payment received from borrowers, right, that have interest rates greater than 10 and then employment length greater than 5 years, right? So I can now format this, do this, and then Ctrl+1 to bring in this symbol, right? This is just smart things to do, right? So you don't, because we know that it's talking about currency, we don't just leave it like that. And that is that. So I've just done that. That is the third question. So let's look at the fourth question, right? I believe we all have these questions with us, right? So let's look at the fourth question. Calculate the sum of loan amount for applicant from Texas who have verified income. So here I've done 3, right? I'm going to, I want somebody to lead us to do this. Are we on this screen? Are we on the bank loan application data screen? Is that where we are on our own system? Okay, since responding is going to take time, so I want just one person to unmute and direct me. I'll be doing it. Just tell me what to do, right? It's just for me to get your attention over there, right? And then be sure that my explanation are clear to you. So we want to do this number 4. Share it, unmute one person who is doing that and lead me. The question says calculate the sum of loan amount for applicants from Texas. The sum of loan amount for applicants from Texas who have verified income. So we want to consider applicants that are from Texas, and those applicants from Texas must have verified income. So you should know the column that I will be speaking to. We have seen state, we have seen verification status, right? So I'm going straight there. Who is unmuting? Let's call this loan from verified, all right, sir. Verified applicants. Verified, is it verified and what? And state, okay, from Texas, loan from Texas, and verified applicants. Yes, let's call it that. Let me format, let me mark it that, and this, right? All right, so, oh yeah, lead me. What do I do? What's my function? Are you there? Who is doing this? Bro Godwin.
Okay, sir.
All right, let's go.
We use SUMIF, sir.
Sir?
We use SUMIF, sir.
Some if or some ifs?
Some
ifs.
Yeah, it is some ifs because there are two criteria: the verification status and the state, Texas. Then verification status, you can see this verification status, you can see it. So there are two criteria in there. Some ifs, I've called it out. First argument is asking me, what's the sum range? So what am I going to select?
Hold on. Please, can you display the question again?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. All right. Calculate the sum of loan amount for applicants from Texas who have verified income. Sum of loan amount.
Okay, from sum of loan amounts first. Will okay, you can take it back to the
all right,
to the sum range, and it will calculate from Texas first.
What will be my sum range?
Your sum range will be Texas. No, sorry. To I highlight the total numbers of wait.
So if somebody is already getting it, please, you can interject so that we just move fast. Another person?
From loan amount, I guess.
Yes, sir, loan amount. Because sum range already, seeing sum range, like I said, sum range has to be numbers that we can sum together. And what are we actually doing? We want to get the loan amount of those two criteria, fulfilling those two criteria. So the actual task is to sum loan amounts, and that's where the sum range is going to come in. So I'm going to select all of these. Then that's right, comma. So what will be my criteria range now, Mr. Godwin?
Criteria range will be from the total numbers of the what's it called? Oh, where is it?
You know, we are looking at loan from.
I didn't want. Okay, okay. Just hold on. Please give me 1 minute. Let me open the question from my end so that I can use that to relate.
Okay. So let me. No, 1 minute is too much anyway. But then we'll give you seconds.
I can't find that question. No. Wait. Okay. Why is it failing?
Is it opening? Okay, somebody can help us. Someone can interject.
Fell from my end. Yeah, I don't know what.
All right, no wala.
We are
criteria
going to
one.
Verification status
Yes,
now. Verification status.
Okay, verification status, yes. So you know that any of the criteria can come as 1 and the other one come as 2. So we can pick the verification status as a criteria range 1, right? All right, so this, I'm going to select it down, right? And I'm going to lock it, right? And now that is my criteria range 1. So what's the criteria in that criteria range 1 that we actually want to speak to, that we are talking about? What's the criteria?
The criteria
Texas.
Verified, right? We want to look for verified.
Yes.
Yeah, comma. So now what's our criteria range 2? That will not be where the Texas will come in. That's talking about the state, the address, right? So this is all of it. I'm going to pick it and lock. Then now, what is the criteria among the range?
Texas.
So it is Texas. Yes, it's as simple as that. And then we enter few arguments. Why is it telling me that we enter few arguments? Let's look at it. Do we need to lock it? Let's quickly do that again. Right? So some ifs, some range would be loan amounts. Loan amount, select down, right? Unlock, right? There is something I skipped to teach somewhere. And I will probably go back to it after it. That's the reason we are seeing loan amount here, right? And it's name ranging, right? I think I skipped it, right? I'm going to go back to it before we move further after this question. Then comma. The next argument is asking us, what was the criteria range 1? We have picked the verification status and the source verification. Yes. I'm going to select it down and lock it, right? Comma. And then what was the verification? What was the criteria in there? That is source verified, comma. Now,
Hello, sir.
is
Hello, sir. Hello,
yes,
sir.
sir.
Please, what's the difference between verified and source verified? Because the question chose verified, not source verified.
Yes, because of course that's what is actually is trying to know people, applicants, right, that their source is verified. That's what it means by that question. And if you look at that column, right, what we have, the only thing that looks so likely, right, is source verified. After source verified, the other thing that we have is not verified. So it's either it is verified or not verified. There's no other thing there again.
Down is verified. Down. If you scroll down, is it show there's a place called verified? There's no source there.
Oh, okay, thank you. So because we have that space, so it means what we actually need to pick is verified. Even me, I don't even know that there is verified separate from not from source verified. So that is fine. Thank you, sir. So that should be right verified. I saw it now. I'm not seeing it again. So let me go down. Yeah, this is verified, right? Do you get that?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Pastor. So let's go. What will be the next argument? Criteria range 2, right? And this one is now talking about the address. So let's go to the address and select all of it, right? Right. Lock it. Then criteria 2 will now be Texas, right? Texas. Right. So enter, right? So the sum of loan amount from people in Texas whose source are verified, that are verified, some of loan applicants from Texas that their status is verified, right? The sum of their loan that they requested for is $6,372,925, right? And the usual thing is to put the right symbol and we are good to go, right? And okay, and that answers that question. Then we can go to we've answered 4 of it, right? Let's go to the next question, right? 47, nice, 747. All right, next question says that count the number of applicants from Pennsylvania, right? Pennsylvania, this is count, this is not sum now, so we know what to do, right? Look at it, some if or some if, which of them? Count the number of applications.
Count if.
Sir?
Count if.
Thank you very much. So let's quickly do that. We don't need to waste time because of time. What was the question again? Count the number of applicants from Pennsylvania. So let's call it applicants from PA, right? From PA, right? So let's just format it, this, and that, right? And then that's going to be equals to count if, right? What's the range? Applicants from Pennsylvania. So range is talking about the state, right? The address. And it's as simple as that. I lock it, then, comma, what is the criteria? PA, right? PA, where's PA? Where's PA? This is PA, right? And I say enter. So there are 954 people applying for the loan from Pennsylvania, right? And because it's a count, right? It's not talking about money. I don't need to put in dollars. It's just a count. I think it's good the way it is, right? So we are good to go. And the next question is, find the number of applicants with an employment length of 10 years plus. Employment length of 10 years plus. Count if or count ifs. Anybody?
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please, that please give me challenge, because I also saw find in the one of the default formula. Find as
yes.
As
a function.
Yes, a function. Yes, I don't know.
Yes, sir. So find function is different. Find function is to look for something.
Okay.
For example, let's say we want to find from this data set. We want to find where we have. Let me quickly look for something that we can find. Okay, we want to find where we have. Look at this Ankel Corporation, for example.
Okay.
Right. Or let's do Studio 94 Corp. Yes, I think I can record that spelling very well. Studio 94 Corp. So I can come here to say equals to find, right? I bring it out and it's asking me what's the text that I want to find. You understand?
Okay.
So I'll put the text here. Within text, which area do I think it is? You understand? I'll put it and all of that. So it will do find it for me. So
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So the question now. What are we using? Count if or count ifs?
Count if.
Count if.
Count if, because we have one criteria.
Okay, let's see. Find the number of applicants who with an employment length of yes. I think it's count if. You are correct. Thank you very much. Yes. So equals to count if, right? Then what's the range? No, let's see. Did I read it very well? Sorry, let me go. All right. Find the number of applicants. Okay. With an employment length. So employment length is our concern. Okay. It's count if. Yes, I agree. All right. So we do equals to count if, right? Range is, we are speaking to employment length in here, right? Employment length, all of that, lock it, right? I'm locking it, yes, comma. And the criteria is 10 years plus. This time around, I don't need to put greater than, right? Do you know the reason? Because 10 years plus is there as a criteria itself. You can see it is written boldly 10 years, 10 plus years. Do you understand? Assuming it is written 10, they are all written in 10 and all of that. That's when I'll have to put greater than. You understand? But then the specific criteria that I'm looking for is there. So I'm going to pick the 10 years plus and say enter. Right. So it means that, oh, please let me put let me bring that copy and paste. Let me paste it here. All right. Let's call this please applicant. Let's call it applicant from where? Applicant of employment length
of 10 plus, yes.
At 10, let's just put something 10 plus, yes, right? All right. So we are counting equals to count if, right? Range is that range is employment length, right? Comma, criteria is 10 years plus, right?
Yes.
That's the answer, right? And we are good to go that way. All right, I do this, I do this, I do that. So we are good to go. The next question, we have 7 minutes more. Next question. Count the number of applicants who own a home and have a debt to income, that's DTI. DTI ratio 0.1. They own a home That's criteria 1. Then they have DTI ratio 0.1. So let's look at the data sets. Let's see where the DTI ratio is. We've seen the home status already, but then this is DTI ratio. Where is it? This DTI ratio. So 0.1. So we're going to look for 0.1 in there, right? Now, you can see that, okay, let's start first. Applicants with homes and DTI at 0.1, right? So let's leave it this way. This, that, and that, right? So we are counting ifs, right? Equals to count ifs. Criteria range 1, we can pick anything. We can even pick the DTI ratio to come first, right? But then let's go and pick the home status. Where is home status? Yes, ownership, right? Comma. So the criteria in there, that is own a home. So own is there. Then what is the second criteria? Criteria range 2 is talking about the DTI status, right? DTI status from here, no, right? And I'm going to lock it. And then what's the criteria there, right? That is DTI is 0.1. So
0.1.
I'll prefer to write 0.1 instead of looking for the 0.1 in A. You know, I can look for it here and just pick it, right? But then there are so many, I may not see it easily. There are 14,000 plus rows in this column, right? So let me just type it there. And because it's a number, I don't need to keep it inside the double apostrophe. It's not a string, it's a number, right? So I'm going to go like this. I can close the bracket and say enter. And it means there are just 2 people, right? We have just 2 applicants that, you know, their homes a home and their DTI is 0.1, right? So let's see the next question, the next 5 minutes, right? Count the number of loan application with a grade of A and loan term of 60 months. Obviously, this COUNTIF also, there are 2 criteria. So applicant with grade A and term 60 months plus, right? Let's call it applicant. Let's call it applicant
with grade A
is grade A
and loan term of 60 months.
And then terms at 60 months. All right. Let's format it. This, that, and that, right? Where is it? This, all right. All right. So equals to count ifs, right? What's my criteria range 1?
Grade.
That's talking about the grade.
Grade, yes.
Yes, grade. I hope we now understand, I mean, this question. I know we just try to find alternative anyway the other time. Grade, yes. I'm going to lock it. Then the criteria there is grade A, right?
Yes.
You can pick the A anyway, right? Comma. What is now the criteria range 2 is
loan
about
terms.
the loan terms, yes. Where is loan terms? Loan terms. Loan terms, this, right?
60 months, 60 months.
Yes. Okay. Criteria range first, so then I'm going to pick 60 months, comma, then criteria 2, 60 months. Anyway, we say 60, we are good to go, right? This 60, and that's it, right? So I'll close this bracket and enter, and that is it, right? So you can see that is the first question, right? And that's the section 1. It's as simple as that, right? Please, you can try it on your own as well. Please try it again. Don't say it is too long, right? You can try it again. All right. The second one You can see section 2 is on if function. So it's an if function task. So create a column that labeled applicant as high income if their annual income is above 50,000. So we're going to create a column. You can see it states clearly, create a column. Then the column is we are going to use the column to determine those that can be grouped as high income. You know, that is, and those people will be people that have annual income to be above 50,000, right? And if it is otherwise, we'll call them low income. So we are going to create a column, we'll call it a name, maybe income status, right? Maybe income status. So let's go there. So we want us to create a column. I'm going to create that column here, right? In order to create a column, right click on the empty on where you want to create it and put insert column. Let's call it income status, income status, right? Income status, and we're going to put in, that is if statement, and logical test will be, let all be a logical test. Can somebody quickly tell me? I know we have 1 minute to our ending time. But what's the income status? What's our logical statement here? Somebody should help me.
I'm lost here. I'm lost in this point.
So it says create a column that labels applicant as high income if their annual income is above 50,000. So it's talking about annual income. So logical test will be annual income greater than $50,000, right? So let's go there. So that will be annual income. Let's look for annual income here. Which one of them is talking about annual income? Total account, installment, annual income. This is annual income. So if this annual income is greater than 50,000, right? That's the logical test. What should happen? Call it high income. Is it high income that is there? High income. You understand? Else, if it is not, this is the value if true, right? Close that, yes. And if it is not, what's the value if false? Call them low income. Low income. That's all. That's all. Then close the bracket, right? You understand? Then drag it down. You understand? So this guy is less than 50,000. So you can see it has low income. This one is also less than 50,000, low income. 28,000 less than 50,000, low income. But this one, 59,000 is greater. That's high income. It's as simple as that. Do you understand? Do you understand? Nobody is talking.
Sir.
Are we still?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So we are good to go. Let's see the next question. The next question is, determine if an applicant qualifies for a low interest loan, right? So we are going to see those who qualify. So for a loan interest loan, right? So, and the logical statement here has been stated there. So we're going to check if the interest rate is less than 10%. So if their interest rate is less than 10%, we'll say they qualify. You understand? But if it is not, we'll say not qualify. You understand? So you can call that column low interest loan qualification status. You understand what we say? Qualification status. Let's just call it qualification status, right? And they would have, I'll create that column also here, right? I'm going to call this qualification status, right? And then I know what to do now. If, right, logical test is that we want to see the interest rate. Where is the interest rate? Yes, if the interest rate is less than 10%, if the interest is less than 10%, call it, if it is interest rate less than 10%, call it qualified, right? But I'm going to keep it inside double apostrophe. So I'm going to say qualified, right? Else, value if false, say not qualified, right? Not qualified. and I'll close the brackets. Yes, so this guy is greater than 10%, so he's not qualified. All of them are not qualified. So we should have this qualified here. 8% should be qualified. This should be qualified. So let's drag down. So this is qualified. Yes. This is qualified. Yes. These are set of qualified. You understand? So it's as simple as that. All right. It's as simple as that. Very simple. You can see how fast it is. You know, people say the assignment is too. You know, it's because I'm explaining. That's why we've not even spent 1 hour on it, right? And it's because I had to explain it. All right, so let's see the next. We have 2 more questions to go, right? And we'll go to our activities for today, right? 2 more questions to go. 2 more questions to go. Where's the question? So we have the question says mark an applicant as preferred if they have verified income and a total account balance greater than 10. Now, these 2 questions that remains, I have left them there intentionally because I'm going to obviously we have used a function that will help us, right? This is supposed to be either if statement, you know, we have if statement. We didn't really talk about it, but we'll talk about nested if. That is, the if function will come twice, right? We have talked about that, right? And I'm not going to use it. I'm going to bring in another function that is still under if that you should also know, right? And if you read the question, you see that it says that mark an applicant as preferred if they have verified income, 1, and a total account balance, their total account balance is greater than 10. So there are 2 criteria. There are 2 conditions for that if statement, right? So if you have used a nested if to start with a particular argument, right? For the first one, then where you're supposed to use where you are supposed to have value if first, you start another argument again, like we did when we're doing if function, right? That is correct. At the same time, we can also use ifs, right? Ifs, there is also another one that's called ifs, just like we have some if and some ifs. So there is if statement that you can also use. And if you follow it the way we've been, you know, using that argument, you will still get it. But what I want to use here is and. You see that there's an if statement that has an and clause. So look at what I'm going to do now, right? So let's call that column, let's call it mark an applicant preferred if they have verified income, right? Let's call it preference status, right? Let's just call it preference status. Don't forget that I'm just the one calling it a name that I think is fine, right? There's no particular, you know, order to name it, right? So preference status. I hope I get it spelling right. So I'm going to say if, look what I'm saying. Oh, please look at it. Okay, this if statement. If you want to use if statement, you can try that right on your own, right? But then I'm going to call out this if statement. And before going ahead to put in the logical test, because already you can see that we have more than logical tests. There are 2 criteria there. Each of them is going to be a logical test, right? There are 2 of them. So I'm going to use, and they are joined together with and. It is if he has this and he has this. So I'm going to bring in a clause called and clause. Can you see now? And you can see that the and clause exists here. And I'm going to call it out again. Now you can see that before it was asking me logical test, but now it's asking logical 1, logical 2. So you can put multiple logical tests in here. Do you understand it? You can put multiple logical tests in here. So let's look at what will be our logical test 1. It's going to be mark an applicant as preferred if they have verified income. So we're going to look for that verification status, right? So, yes. So let's go there. So if the verification status, sorry, logical test 1 will be verification status. So if this, right, is equals to, if this is equals to verified, that's the first argument. If this is equals to verified, that's the first logical test, rather. Then, what's the second logical test? It's talking about, second logical test is talking about, and a total account balance. So the account number should be greater than 10. So let's go and look for the column that speaks to account number. account balance. So this is account, you can see, and if this total account, right, is greater than 10, right? Here I don't need to put double apostrophe, right? Then I'm going to say I'm done with the logical test. It has 2 logical tests, and I'm done with both of them, right? So I'm going to close this bracket. And as soon as I close this bracket, if you look at this place, you will see that I'm back to my if, under my if, logical test. So I've inputted the logical test, and I'm going to say comma to go to the next argument. Now you can see value if true. So the question says, call them preferred. If that condition is met, call them preferred. But then I'm going to keep it inside double apostrophe, right? Right. So I'm going to have this and call it preferred, right? Close it. And then value if false, let's call it not preferred, right? And that. And I'm going to close that bracket again. And that's all. I'm going to say hit enter, right? And I'm going to drag down for all of them. And that is it. So this guy does not have a source verified, so he's not preferred. This guy does not have a source verified, is not preferred. This one, not verified, right? So many of them are not preferred, right? Until we get to a place where we have verified. Let's scroll down to see verified. So this is verified. I think I saw it now, right? So this is verified, right? Preferred, and then this thing is account is greater than 10. So we can see that we have preferred for the guy. All right, it's as simple as that. And then the second one, the last question in there is still the same thing, but this time around, the clause is not and, the clause is or, and we are going to use it, approach it using the same method, right? The question says assign at risk. So let's call this column risk status. So assign at risk to applicants with DTI ratio above 0.2, or you can see or a total payment lower than their loan amount. So let's go there. We want to call it risk status, right? Right. And we're going to use equals to if, right? And it's an if with or, right? What's the logical test? 1. That is DTI should be greater than what? Assign if to the applicant if the DTI ratio is above 0.2. So DTI ratio is above 0.2. So let's go to DTI ratio. DTI ratio. So if this is above 0.2, right? And what's the second logical test? Let's go to the question again. Let's say a total payment lower, that is their total payment is lower than their loan amount. So if their total payment, this is total payment. If this total payment is lower than their loan amount, this loan amount is lower than this, right? And I'm going to close this. So logical test has been done. Then, comma, value if true, call it at risk, right? That's what it says. Call it at risk. Then that value if false, let's call it not at risk. Not at risk, right? And close the bracket. And that is it. Very simple. So this is the end of course, I'm going to drag it down. So this is the questions that was given to us. All the questions that I think it actually gives us stress anyway from the responses I've seen so far. Right. So this is how to approach them. Please, when the video is shared, please do well to go through all of them and be sure that you have them. Please, if you still have questions, please just hit me at any time, right? I'm going to create time to quickly look at that. So this is the assignment. I hope we find it interesting. All right. So let's quickly go to what we have for today. I'm going to stop this particular screen. Thank you. And this is our Excel sheet. So we have done our VLOOKUP, and at the same time we have looked at VLOOKUP, index match function, and index function, match function, and index match function. And that is where we are. But I'm just going to go back a bit to look at something. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's not go back. Let's go ahead. Then we'll still look at that later, right? And then I have this particular I have this particular story. Please, any question from the assignment? Please, I just got to ask. Response, any question from the assignment?
Good evening. Sorry,
Yes,
I came
sir.
in late.
Mr. Benga,
I do not
all right.
I do not have ifs. I have if, but I don't have ifs.
Okay, you don't have ifs. Okay, it's still because of that same reason, right? It's still for that same reason. So we'll look at it. I think once you upgrade the version of your Excel, all of those things will be there. But you can use nested if. I said it. You can use
Yes.
nested if. Then you can use this that I'm using. I just
Yes.
using this to answer it.
I
You
saw
can use
the
it.
and. I saw the and also.
All right, that's fine. So we are good to go. All right, so we are on staff performance reports. Now, I have just named this cell, this sheet, staff performance report, right? Because we are going to do something that looks like performance and like a report, right? In a kind of, in a way, right? But then what I want to explain here exactly is actually called cell validation. Cell validation. And then let's quickly talk about what cell validation means, right? Before we come into this, right? And you remember that I explained that, let me come back to this place, right? I said, when, dealing with your data set, one of the things that you must watch, you must take note is that each column must be speaking to the kind of data that you want to put inside of it. For example, now this column is talking about branch manager. So branch manager will most likely be branch manager's name. So it is a name, and names are text. You understand? So this column must be designed, you must format that cell, the column, to take in text, right? This column is for turnover, right? So if you want to format this particular column, YTD turnover, it has to be, because it's talking about currency, money, accounts, right? So you have to format that text to take account, accounting numbers. You understand? So, and then that is formatting. But then self-validation is somewhere, very close to that understanding. And what it is actually talking about is this, right? Look at it. Look at this particular cell. Anybody can open Excel at any time and type on it. Let's say I type in Olamide, right, on it. You understand? I type in my name on it, Olamide. You see this particular cell where I've typed Olamide, I can come to design that cell so that nobody must be able to type Olamide inside. You understand me? That when people open your Excel sheet, you don't want them to just come there and be typing anything. So you can restrict what they can type in inside. So that understanding is what Excel called cell validation. That is, you are going to validate this cell to what you want to accept. I can come there to say that this cell, this particular cell here, must not take anything rather than number. So if anybody come in to type a name, a text there, it will not take it. This is different from self-formatting. I can come in to say that this can only take even if I'm going to say take number, I can come out to design it to say that you can only take between 1 to 5 as number. So if anybody comes there and type in 10, 10 will not work. It will not go. It will not stay like this. So that activity in Excel is called self-validation, right? It is used to restrict what a cell can take, to make sure that people do not come to your cell and begin to put in unworthy stuff that can affect your data in a particular way, right? In a particular way, maybe to restrict people from just doing anything on your cell. And I'm going to show you how it works. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this. So I'm going to use what I'm explaining is that, but I'm going to use it to perform a kind of report. You understand? To say that, look at this set A. So this is the names of branch managers, their expectation, right? This is their expectation and their budget and what they actually make, right? And we have, of course, I talked about this in the last class, and then we can see their variance and remark, right? Now, their performance has been recorded here. I now want to design the report. Maybe I need to send the report to, I am their manager, or they are all reporting to me. Let's paint this scenario. They are reporting to me. So I've seen this report. I have taken it. So I want to call one after the other, right? I want to call Ayo, right? To show him that, Ayo, why have you performed like this? You have a budget of this, and you are making this, right? And I don't want him to come, when I call him and I'm showing him, Ayo will be seeing what the other branch manager performed, and I don't want him to see it, right? I want the screen to only show Ayo's performance. I can design a report that will only be showing the information of who I want to see. And that is, of course, I'm going to use the self-validation to do that, right? Now, this particular cell, right, where you are seeing Etuk is actually one of the sales manager. This is Etuke, right? This is Etuke, right? I assume that I have not written Etuke, just cancel this, right? Nothing is there, right? But then I want to have the branch manager's name inside here, right? But there is a list. I don't want to see a list. So I'll come here to validate this cell. And let's see how it goes. The cell validation is under the data tab. It's called data validation rather, not cell validation, data validation. But they're actually talking about the same thing. So the data validation is under the data tab. You can see data tab, click the data tab, and you come to this data tool, right? Under this data tool, there are so many things in there. But this one, when you have this arrow, the name is not written, but the name is data validation. If you place your arrow on it, your cursor on it, you will see that the name will pop out. You can see that data validation is showing, right? So that is data validation. So I'm going to select it, and the dialog, some options will come out from that. So select data validation, right? Now you can see the dialog box that comes out, and you can see that by default is on any value. So your Excel is on any value by default. That's why that is why it is a case that when you open your Excel sheet at any time, you can come in to type anything. It's because the validation criteria is set to allow any value. But this time around, we are going to take it from the default setting that is any value. We are going to set it to what we want to accept. So if I come in here, you will see several options that are there. So I can say that take only O number. I mean only this cell that I've selected. If I want to do it to multiple cells, I'm going to select multiple cells. But for this only cell that I've selected, I'm saying that cell should take only O number. So if I have selected O number, if anybody comes in and type decimal number into it, it will not work. The data, the information you are typing into it will not stay there. If somebody come and put in text as in names or sentence, it will not stay. So also if I select a date to say that this cell should take only date, it will only take a date. But now what I want to set it to, I want to validate it to take a list. So I'm going to select a list. I'm going to check a list. And you can see that after I check the list, it comes in here to ask me where is the source of the list? Where am I going to pick the list from? So I'll select it, and I will now come to this input, right? So come to this input because that's where the list I want to speak with, I want to use. That's where it is. So select it. And once I select it, you can see what has written by itself, right? So if you see this exclamation mark, so note this. Just like I explained that $sign in Excel means lock. Also, exclamation mark in Excel also means move to another sheet. So it is because I left that sheet where we are doing that activity, I come to this input sheet. You can see that the name is input 2. That is why it has written in apostrophe, single apostrophe, input 2. Then it put in the exclamation mark. That is, I have moved to another sheet. If the name of the sheet was let's say the name is just sheet 1. If I move in there, it will be sheet 1. It will be in apostrophe, sheet 1, then exclamation. Do you understand it now? So that's exclamation. Now I'm in another sheet. So I can now select the list. So I want the list to be from all this list down, right? And one of the things that you see is that by itself, I am not the one that lock it. You can see it here. It selects it and lock it by itself to mean that it will not go beyond your selection. It has locked it by default. So I've selected the list. Do you understand it now? But then we are done with that. But before we move on, I'm going to show you another thing. Don't just be in a hurry to say okay, right? Don't be in a hurry to say okay. just come in here and select input 2 because there are other things to do. Now it's asking you, it's asking us, look at this area. Now, if, we are restricting that cell. If somebody comes there to now type in what we don't intend to have in there, what should happen? So we will now tell exec that if somebody is trying to be stubborn or is trying to type on that cell that we have validated, show him this message. So I'm going to put in something here. You will see how it works by the time we are done with all of that. So let me call this what I want to do. Let me call it take notes, right? Let me just call it take notes, right? And then what is the message that I want to convey with this take notes? Just follow me. You will see what it turns us into. So let me put select from the list, right? So yeah, I've done that on this input message. Now I go to the next one. There is error alert. So I have that. This input message is just for me to direct somebody when they want to type on that cell. You will see the outcome later. Now, if the person now try to impute what is not supposed to impute in there, I will put in an error alert to say, okay, what should be the error alert? I call it warning, right? I call it warning. Let me use capital letters so that it can be both warning. And then what is the warning that I should give? Let me just call it obey simple instruction. I'm just calling it something that can be hash a bit, just that so that to lead the person aright. Obey simple instruction. You know that? Okay, let's just go ahead. Now I've filled in all of this. I can now say okay, right? Now this cell has been validated. Oh, I selected the wrong cell. It's supposed to be this. I think I selected this, so I'm going to clean that validation and come back to do it here. So let me just use that avenue to teach you how to close validation. So if we need to close that validation, we'll still come back there, select validation, and you will see clear all here. So the validation will be off and say okay. So there's no validation here again. So I'm going to select this and do that validation again. So I've selected the cell. I selected the wrong cell before. So now I've selected the cell. So I'll come back here, validation, data validation, then come back to this place, leave it from any value to a list, then go to the source of the list. I come here and I select it from here downward. You know how to select Ctrl Shift downward arrow. Then I'll then go and put in my message. Let me put this one. What did I call this the other time? Take notes. Take notes, right? Select from the list, right? Select from the list. Let me make it small letter so that select from the list, right? Then error message. If the person is trying to be stubborn, let me call it warning, running, and let's say I say obey simple instruction. Really? Obey simple instruction.
Obey. Wait. Obey.
Yeah, I've seen it. Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right. So now this is the cell now that are validated. So if I come here, you will see that because I select a list, that the cell should only take a list. An arrow is come here, is here. It's placed beside so that I can see the list. And there is a directive that I've put in there that take note to select from the list. So don't come and type in Maxwell. Don't just come here and type in Maxwell. Maxwell is not in the list. If I leave this cell now, it will really, can you see now? When I try to type in Maxwell and go away from there, it says obey simple instruction. You understand? That I've instructed you to select from the list. You go and type Maxwell. So obey simple instruction, then you'll be able to use that cell. You understand? Then it leaves area for say, okay, now you can retry. You understand? So now I want to obey the instruction. So I click from the list and you can see that there are lists. You understand? So if I want to perform the report for the branch manager, I can now say Ayo. You can say because Ayo is on the list. Because Ayo is on the list. Because Ayo is on the list, then Ayo can stay. If I come here to type another person, let's say I type 34, a number, it will come back and say Alaye, obey simple instruction. You understand? So it has to be a name that is on that list, and Ayo is on the list. So that is self-validation. I have explained self-validation. But now I want to use that screen to do other things, right? Okay, Mr. Godwin.
Okay,
You're
sir.
raising your hand.
Yes, sir. Please, from this explanation that you have just given, I have one observation of what one sheet I normally work on. So
All right.
usually, okay, like in my place of work, so usually they normally like put our names like this. So I don't know. I wanted to share my screen and show you something because I noticed that at the point when I normally send the names manually to the
Okay.
box, to that sheet cell rather. So once
All
I
right.
put it, it will just reject it.
Okay, so
So
you don't know if
sometimes,
they are validated that self. Okay, don't bother to share the list. The don't share the page now, right? Because I mean, it may be something you don't need to share to everyone because this video is going to be, it will be on YouTube, right? So after the class, we'll look at that together. Would that be fine?
thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. So that we don't, because of the time also, and
All
then
right, sir. That's
so that by
noted.
the time other people watches the video from the YouTube, so that maybe somebody that knows you will now begin to see you are sharing our information out there. You understand? So let's not do that.
That's true. That's true. Thank you.
All right. So let's go ahead. So YTD turnover, right? If you look at that list, we have done this, right? I don't want to use this for other things. So if you look at that list, so we can now we can bring in IOS information, right, in here. So we want to bring the YTD turnover here. So I want to use VLOOKUP to come and return all this information here in this place. I want to use VLOOKUP to return it, to bring it here. So this is now the essence of we using VLOOKUP. Don't forget that when we use VLOOKUP, they are all, the data set, they are all in one sheet, right? But now we want to use VLOOKUP from another sheet. So I can say VLOOKUP, right? VLOOKUP. Now, what's my lookup value? This cell will be my lookup value. Don't forget that this cell can change. It can change from Ayo, it can change to Etuk, it can change to Tolanin and all of that, right? So provided the name is on that list. So if I select this as my lookup value now, I'm not selecting Ayo, I am selecting that cell. So later, if I change that list away from Ayo, the lookup value will automatically become the new list, the new names on that cell. I hope you understand that. So as at now, my lookup value is IO, right? Because it's on B3 and IO is what is there, is the information on it. So what's my table array? Now my table array, I will go to another sheet to pick it. And you know that already you have seen that we can go and pick our information from another table. In fact, we can pick it from another workbook, another Excel workbook entirely. You understand? But then let's just go to another, did I say table? From another sheet. Yes, which is another table anyway. So from another sheet, so my table array will be, let me go back to input 2. So all these will be my table array, right? I can select all of these as my table array and I lock it. You understand? Then I say, comma. Now it's asking me, what's the column index number? Don't forget that it is the YTD that I want to show, the YTD. So the column index number is 1, 2. We've talked about this already, and I'm sure you understand, right? So that is 2, comma. What is my range lookup, right? My range lookup is asking whether it is true, approximate match or exact match. And you can see it is what? Let me ask. I'm trying to get this information about IO, right, on that sheet. So will it be an
exact match?
Exact match. Thank you. So, and I'm going to close the bracket, right, and say enter. So you can see that IOS YTD as shown. I'll do the same thing for budget, VLOOKUP. I want to bring in budget A, right? VLOOKUP, that is my lookup value. My table array, I'll go and pick it there. I'm going to lock it, comma, right? What's the column index number? That should be 3. That should be 3. And there was the range lookup exact match. And I'm going to use 0. I hope you still understand, right? And that's VLOOKUP, right? Lookup array and lookup value, comma, table array is still all of these, right? I lock it, comma, right? Index number is going to be 4, comma, and 0 because it's an exact match, right? And finally, VLOOKUP, right? Lookup value this, comma, table array. I go there to pick the table array, move up, pick, right? I lock, comma. Then what is my column index? That should be 5. And then look up, and I pick 0, and I close the bracket and say enter. You can see now I have brought in Ayo's information in here. So let's say now I want to penalize Ayo for not performing well because the variance is minus 1.4. So I don't need to be on this screen, right, and be showing Ayo, because Ayo will begin to see access, will have access to the other employees' information. I'm just trying to work smart, right, to be smarter, right, with the use of my Excel. So I can come here if Ayo is gone and I need to pick, and I call Biola, come to my office, right? And I want to show Biola his performance. I'm just going to select this, and you can see that the information has changed about Biola. Can you see? So this is self-validation is what I'm actually explaining, but then I've used the self-validation to show other things, right? So Biola, these are the performances of Biola according to that sheet, right? He has a budget of 78,943, dollars. I mean naira, because those are Yoruba names. It has to be Nigeria. So naira, and then the YTD, the year-to-date turnover is 64,744 naira, and the variance is minus 14. So he didn't really perform well. So I've called him to. So you can see the remark is adverse. Biola, why have you done that? And Biola will begin to explain himself why he couldn't meet up with the target that was given to him. Let's say Tolani, right? Tolani actually was given a budget of 36. I think this lady is new. She's new, and then she has been given a lower budget, right? They never knew that she's a strong and mighty. And then, even though she was given a budget of 36,366 naira, the lady did well, and then they surprised the whole department. All right, 64,344, and the variance is this, and you can see the remark preferable. So I've called him as as the supervisor or as the general manager to say, oh, Tolani, thank you, you did well. Look at your performance and all of that. But then the data validation is actually what I'm using, to select all of them, right? And you can see how that works. I hope that is clear, right? I can scroll down and see Etuk, right? And this is for Etuk. So this is data validation. I hope you understand it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any question from anyone?
Sir,
Any question?
can you drag this formula? You know that data validation. Can you drag it down to extend it to other cells too?
Can I drag it? Okay, from here, you drag it down here.
No, the data validation, the one we did from beginning.
Yes, this.
Yes, because I remember there's a particular Excel package.
You mean we should drag it down here to affect other area? Yes, it means that those cells also will be validated the same way. Yes, you can drag it down.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Any other question? All right. So that's that. So this is where we're now going to all the things we've been doing.
Sorry, sir.
All right.
Hello, sir. Sorry. So,
all right,
for example, for instance, now I want to add, if one want to add a name of another employee, that means they have to go back to the inputs too.
Thank you. So if you want to add the name of another employee, we have to go back to the input one, add it here. You understand? After you have added it there, then you come back here, right? Come to the data validation, come in here, right? Come in here and come and extend. You know that this end at A24, and the one you have added will be on the 25th row. Do you understand? So you have to extend this to 25th to 25. You still not to understand. Let me go back there. At the moment, this is A24. This is where it ends. So if you add another one here, another person's information in here, that is 25th. So we have to go and make it be effective, because when you selected the list there, it is locked to this area, to this Victoria. Do you understand it?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. That's a very good question. Thank you.
I have a question too.
All right, sir.
About this VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. VLOOKUP, it will take data from the left to the right.
Yes.
Does HLOOKUP take from the right to the left?
X takes anywhere. It doesn't have a specification.
How about H?
H also takes, H also takes from left to right. H and VLOOKUP are
Okay.
actually the same thing. It is the
They're the
arrangement
same
of the
thing,
data
Abi.
set that is different.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir. Another question? All right. So in the absence of any questions, so we can move further. So everything we've been doing from the beginning of the class, right? From Excel interface, advanced sorting, all of them, they are performing one. I mean, we have treated them so that we can have a good understanding of data cleaning, right? So data analysis actually, so of course, data cleaning is part of data analysis. That's the second process, right? Get the data or data collection, then data cleaning. Then the next thing is data exploration, right? Or data analysis itself. And that is done on the next cell that we are going into. And I'm happy that we are going to reach that today. Of course, we still have over 1 hour, so we have enough time to actually talk about that, right? And that's why we are going to on pivot table. So data analysis is actually done on pivot table. Data analysis is done on pivot table. But before we actually go there, I'm going to quickly go back to a particular cell. Where is that cell? I think it's where we are the SUMIF. This, yes, this. Now, there is something I skipped to talk about here. It's called name range.
Cannot hear anything again.
I can't hear anything. Oh.
Sir?
I can't hear anything again.
I thought I was the only person. Okay.
Can you hear me? Let me ask.
Okay, yes,
generally.
yes,
Okay,
now.
yes, I can hear you now, sir.
All right, thank you. I think it's network for that short space of time. All right. Okay, so let's go now. So you will remember that each time we are using all of this, I will advise that lock. Because if you didn't lock it, when you drag, we already talked about the essence of locking. And I'm the one who is calling it locking actually, right? It is actually cell referencing. So make sure you reference that cell, right? And each time you do that, you see that you'll be able to drag. Because if you didn't drag, each time you pick a cell and you drag, you are saying that cell should also change as you move down. The cell should also move down. But once you have locked it, it's not going to move, right? Now, if you are somebody that will not always find interest in locking, then you should quickly understand name ranging, right? Now, I'm going to clear all these things that we have done. I'm going to use only this actually and clear it. We have done this before, right? Now, I'm going to use name ranging to repeat this SUMIF that I've done. So name ranging means that if I select this range, for example, I want to work with this range. You can see that the range I've selected. I can name only this range. I can give it a name, and the name will be stored in Excel. It will be kept in Excel, inside this Excel, Microsoft Excel, right? And then each time I need that range, I'll just go and type in the name, and it will come out. So then I don't need to lock, right? What am I saying? Let's do SUMIF, right? So we have these activity. We want to sum the salary of the people in the IT department alone, right? The salary of IT department. And you know what we used to do? We use SUMIF. We just attempted an assignment that really talks about SUMIF and counting and all of that. So I believe by now we understand SUMIF, right? So we want to attempt this again, right? I'm going to use SUMIF, right? And you can see that, sorry, SUMIF, and you can see that it's asking me for my range. Now I'll go back. Now this is the range, right? You can see this is the range. So I'll come back and select that range, all of them, and name that range. Look at it too. I select all of them. I've selected it. Now, I've said this also before. When you select multiple cells in Excel, the first one will be active, right? Now, but I don't even need that one. That's not even what I'm talking about. So it's not about the first one to be active. But then if you select multiple cells like that, if you look at this place, come to this name box. This area is called name box. We named it at the beginning. You see that no name is on that. So it means that all those selection does not have a name. Recall, if I select only one cell, you can see that the name of that cell is showing on that name box, A2. If I come here and select this one, the name is showing on that name box, B7. But if I select multiple cell, there's no name. There's no name there. So you go there and go and name it. So because that selection is talking about department, I can come here and name it. When I put in my cursor in there, it's showing A2, right? And it's because A2 is active. Don't mind it, right? I told you the first one will always be active. Just clean it. It is still selected. And write the name you want to call that range. So I'm going to call it department. Look at how I spelled my department. I didn't write the full department so that we can distinguish it from this normal department that is A, right? So DEPT for department. And after typing it, press enter. Just click your enter. So that name has been saved in the undo. No, let's do that again. Right? I think I clicked another, I mistyped that enter, right? Right. So let's go. Okay, it's even saved. So you can see now when I selected all, the department comes out. So it's actually saved the other time. So the name is there as department, right? I would also need the salary in that activity that I want to do. So I've selected it and I'm going to name it salary, right? Let me just call it full name, salary. I can just call it because there is no salary there before now. So I call it salary. You can see. Now, if I come here now, I want to do the SUMIF. I can now come here to say SUMIF. Now it's asking for the range. I can just go there to type DPT. You can see that it's on the list. Can you see now? Now, if I'm using name range, I don't need to keep it inside any double apostrophe. Because now, the reason why we are keeping those ones in double apostrophe is because Excel is not recognizing those names. They are not in Excel already. But I've imputed that department in there. You can see that it's listing it like a keyword. But then this list here is actually different from function. Look at the icon in here. It's like a full Excel worksheet that now have an area shaded. That's a range you have named. But if it is a function, let's say I type in sum again. This is a function. You can see the icon beside it, fx. This is a function. But DPT is not a function. You can see it's a department. Is a name range, right? So I have here. I don't need to log. There's nothing to log. And you can see as I type in DPT, all the area has been selected already. You understand? Comma. Now it's asking me what's the criteria. I think I'm talking about IT, and I'm going to select this from here, right? And I comma. It's asking me what's the sum range, right? Sum range is now the salary. I don't need to come and select everything again. I'll just type my salary. And you can see that it brings it out, and I'll select it. You understand? And I'm going to close it. And if I say enter, I'll still get my answer, and I can still drag down. So that is the name range that I want to explain to you. I hope this is clear. Any question?
So
all right.
this one is long process.
It's long process. Okay.
I think this one is even sweeter and faster than the other one.
I find this sweeter anyway. I find this faster.
I think it's sweeter.
So once you have, first of all, named all your this thing, you just go ahead to pick. But if you say it's long process, anyway, maybe because we've been used to select all and log and all of that. All right. So I needed to explain this. So we can now move forward, right? Thank you for listening to that. So now to the pivot table. This is where we are. This is the reason why we have come to
of them all.
Right? What do you say?
Said the Ogbonge of them all.
You can see it's the last sheet, right? So we are getting to the end of Excel, right? And then we can use if you treat this very well, of course, obviously there will be a task for you for the next class. Then we'll use next week to talk about it again. Then next Sunday we'll start our SQL class, right? So we are moving fast. All right. This is pivot table. Now, pivot table, let's even define pivot table. What is pivot table, right? Pivot table is the Excel tool that is used to, please note my definition, and I'm going to call some words, the 4 keywords that are very particular about pivot table, right? So we say pivot tables a pivot table is the Excel tool that is used to summarize, analyze, visualize, and interpret our data sets. It is the Excel tool that is used to analyze. So summarize first, summarize, analyze, visualize. When you hear visualization in data analysis, it's just talking about the use of your charts, what you call charts. So should I use pie charts? Should I use bar chart and all of that? That is visualization, right? So visualize and interpret your data set. That's what the pivot table is talking about. So which means that each time you have your data set like this, like you have this data set now, this is the sample data set that we're going to work with in this class. So this data set to now use this data set for data analysis, we are going to import this data set into the pivot table. This pivot table is also here. So we'll go there, we'll get in there very soon. But before going there, right? Before going into the pivot table, it is very important, like I have been hitting it, that your data is clean. Don't take a dirty data into the pivot table. Don't take the dirty data into the pivot table. Else, every analysis that you will do there will be wrong. If you have said that in total years, the company will make this number of billion, if they wait till that year, they are just working on, they will not make that billion. And they will say it is one data analyst that has given us this because you didn't prepare your data before going ahead to analyze, right? So that is why we need to talk about data cleaning before analysis. So look at the data set, go through it, like I've always said, go through your data set, understand it, and ask question. Ask yourself the question, is this data clean? Like, for example, now, look at this data set. Data set on our screen. Is this data clean? I'm asking us the question now. Somebody say no. Another person. The person who say no is actually beside me, so I don't want to take the answer yet. All right. Is it data
I think
clean?
there's a question on that. How do we know whether the data is clean or not? What are we looking for
my question back to
know whether it is clean or not clean?
So if the data sets have some unwanted activity, it's not clean. For example, somebody wants to say something.
No, finish, sir. Sorry for
all right. For example, look at revenue. Revenue is supposed to be money now, but you are seeing error. So how can you take this to your pivot table? So this is not clean. Look at item price. Item price is supposed to be price of something also. I'm seeing the amount, but I'm seeing something behind it. Can you see?
The salesperson.
Can I hear you?
The names on the sales.
And the names. That's another thing. And the names. So anything that is not, that doesn't make sense, I are seeing it, it's making a dirty data, right? If I scroll down also, it's possible for me to see blank, but then because I've been using this data set, there's no blank, right? So if you see any blank in any data set, you can't go ahead to analyze that data. The data is not clean. You understand? Of course, we are all, everybody in this class are all from the church. I mean, except some people that joined us from outside. But then, so we take the data of our newcomers, right? We take data of our first timer, and some will not fill some information in there. Some will not fill some information, like people don't like to fill date of birth. People don't like to fill something. Some who don't have phone number will not fill phone number. Some who don't have email address will not fill email address. If I combine those data sets, right, and of course, in the last meeting, you can see how I presented my report, right? So if I have that data sets and with those blank and I go ahead to analyze it, it will lead us to in many ways. So I have to clean that data and make sure that I find something to do to those blank data sets. And finding something to do does not mean that I will always delete. We'll talk about this when we get to data cleaning itself, right? In Power BI. Power BI is the last thing we're going to talk about. Or there's still something we're still briefly going to talk about after this area that we are in Excel. So I will talk about that more. So when cleaning the data, don't always think about that. If you see something that is not good, you go and delete it. For example, now, if I say because this is having value error, and I want to delete it, I now delete everything. So at the end of the day, this data set will not have a revenue. But what am I going there to analyze? So I cannot go there to go and analyze anything. But then I have to solve the problem. Bringing all my ideas, techniques together, how I can use Excel to write some function to generate one other thing. I'll begin to put my Excel idea together. But then there's no big thing to clean here. It's just simple. So the first thing is what somebody has noted here. If you look at the salesperson name, that's one of the major error that is on that we have on this data set. The names are not written in the actual normal case type, text case. You understand? So you can see who writes names at capital letter, first letter, the small letter, then capital letter, M for normal, and then all of that. So this is not right. So I need to first of all change the case text, the case of this text into what would it be? Will it be lower text or proper or upper? I can, okay. Maybe most people will prefer proper, right? You most likely not use lower, right? And you know how to do that already. So you know a function to use for that, right? And to do that, because all the columns are actually used. So where do we do that? I'm going to create a separate column for that and say, insert a new column, right? Now that I've inserted a new column, I will now use my, formula. I mean, of course, what I've learned, one of the skills we've learned in the class, that is to work with text, to say, I'm using proper. It should be in proper, right? Proper can do this for me. And what's the text that I want to work on? That's this text. Now say enter, and you can see that it is now correct, right? I'm going to drag down for everything, right? So I've cleaned it. But then I cannot have these two columns all in here, right? So look at how I'm going to do. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to select all of it, right? And I'm going to copy, right? I'm going to copy it, right? And I'm going to paste it here. Can you see? But why pasting it? Because I don't want to affect so many other things. Look at, I'm going to do right click on your mouse, right click, and you will see so many paste here. There are so many paste, but what we want to use is paste value, so that it is only what I have copied that will go in there. And this is paste value here. This is a paste, Control P. Has it done that? No. So paste value. So I'm just going to select this paste value, and you can see that it has pasted what I have here. It has pasted it here, right? Without altering this salesperson and every other thing there, right? So once I have done that, I can now come ahead and delete that particular, this one, delete it back. So nothing is affected. So I've cleaned that area. This is just me expressing my talent to make sure that I do it in the way that suits me, right? Some people will create it like that, clean it there, right? Oh, let me do undo and show you something, right? So I have cleaned it here, right? I have cleaned it here. I've used proper to clean it. So some people may want to say, okay, now that I have cleaned it, let us come and delete all this one. So maybe we'll just write salesperson here. Write salesperson here, and delete this. But if you delete this, there will be a problem. Let me delete it and show you, and show you what happens. So if I delete this, can you see what happened? Can you see the salesperson, the new one I created? So the reason I just did undo to bring it back. So the reason is because what you have here, right? What you have here is picking information from this place. So you use this function, proper B2, right? To create this one. So once you tell this one to go away, so where will this one now get its information from? That will give you an error. You understand? And that error you're seeing there is ref error. So I said I'm going to talk about the error that we have in Excel. If you finish this thing on time today, I'll talk about it. If not, I'll talk it in the next class. So the error you're seeing there is the reference error as ref. That is the reference where this guy is picking the information from is not there again. So that is a ref error. You understand? So that's why I cannot come here and delete this. So I'll just prefer to come and select everything, right? copy it, and then go and paste in there as a value, right? So I'll just right click in here and just paste at the value. So with paste value, it will just bring in all those, it will extract those things that I copy without the formula, without the function that create them, right? And put it there. But if I do the ordinary paste, it is actually pasting with the formula. But I'm saying paste value, just pick the value, right? And I can come ahead to delete this, right? Yes, sir. Mr. Godwin.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. I noticed that the this thing is empty. Is there any error on
What?
it? The A cell. You see that
Okay, no, there's no error on it. It's intentional. It has nothing to do with. So by the time we want to import it to pivot table, we'll only import this area that we need. So nothing is happening to this. Yeah, that's fine. So thank you. So, but then, are you clear with this cleaning that test case and how I've done it? That's fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sorry,
yes, sir.
I don't know if I'm audible. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Please, I want to ask concerning that paste value. Please, can you come again with it? Because I'm finding it difficult.
All right. So to do paste values, I'm just going to do undo, right? And then we have it again. All right. So I selected all. Control Shift down arrow to go down. Control P to select. Then I return all. I return up and select this and right click on my mouse, and you can see paste value here. This is paste. This one that has 1, 2, 3 is called paste value. This is paste function or paste formula. So there are types of pastes. You understand? So we are just used to Control P, Control V, the normal paste, but they're actually types of paste, right? So there is paste transpose. You know, if you're a mathematician, you understand transpose of matrix, right? I'm a mathematics student, so transpose means that make rows, make it the column, and make the column rows. For example, now this one that everything that are rows here will now go to the column. That's what transpose means. So paste transpose means that by the time you are pasting it, transpose it, right? Maybe we'll talk about that later anyway. But I'm just showing you all the type of transpose that we have. This one is all the type of paste that we have. This is paste link. So if there's a link that you copy, right, and you are pasting it, you should use paste link. Because if you just paste it, normal paste, it may not identify the link by the time it's getting in there. You understand? So that is paste link, and we have paste formatting, right? All right, and these are all the, so I'm going to use the paste value, right? And you can see it's there. Then once I've used the paste value, I can come ahead to delete this, right? I hope I answered that.
Yes, thank you.
I hope I answered your question.
Yes,
all right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. So any other question before I move on? Okay, I guess we are good to go. So the next error you are seeing here is this guy here. All right. If I select that particular cell, you will see something like all of these. So there's an error with these things, yes, and we need to clean that error. You understand? And as a matter of fact, it is because of this error that is making us have error here, right? Because this place, we say that the formula for this to get this place is G2 times H2. So what is our G2? G2 has error. H2 has no problem. But because G2 has error, then we have this value error. And the meaning of value error is that the value error occurs to formulas most time formulas. And we are multiplying two things together. And then one of it is not no value, and then the reason is because this is supposed to multiply this to get this, number of item price, item price, the price of the item, and how many of them did you sell is supposed to determine the revenue. Just like you are selling one table water, right? One plastic water at 200 naira, and you sold 3, right? So it means at the end of the day, your revenue will be 600 naira, 3 times 200. And so revenue will be 600. That's the same thing that is there. So number of items sold is 3, and the unit price is this. So it's supposed to give us this. But then this has an error. So let's clean it. How do we clean it? Can somebody advise us? How do we clean this? How do we clean this? Anybody want to say anything? Okay, nobody's saying anything. You don't know how to clean it. I'm hearing somebody.
We can actually remove the equals to sign and clear the how do I put it?
We can remove what?
You can remove the equals to sign and just have the number there, and then you flash fill.
Okay, let me try it.
No, we can also use trimming.
You can use what? Trimming.
Trim. Yes.
Yes. Trim. If you use trim, right? Trim will not work. Now, let me answer the first person. So the first person says that we can remove the equals to. Now, if you remove equals to, see what will happen. You can see that it is now showing this. So we can now use flash fill. Okay, that can work. Thank you. That can work. But if we use trim, don't forget that trim function we pick from that cell, right? If you say equals to trim, you now pick the text as that cell. But then what's on that cell is not what you just type in there. Is gotten with a formula. So it will be recognizing the formula. So it will not make the trim function work very well, right? Let me show you. So of course, the first thing we'll do is to create a new column. I mean, nobody talked about that, so that we can know where we are putting in what we want to do. All right. So if I say I want to use trim, I'm going to say trim. There's not even trim here. Why am I even responding to it? Trim is used to take away space. So it's not trim. Trim cannot work in there, right? Trim is used to trim space. If the space bar, they are excessively imputed into it, you now want to trim it so that it maintains the normal order. That's when you use trim. But then what the first person suggested can work. So let's say I type in this 168.95, right? I click out and I'll use Control E, right? Control E. You can see that it didn't work, right? But then the reason why it didn't work, personally, I actually tried to understand it, is because what is speaking is, okay, it's actually worked, right? It worked, right? Because it's 168 for everything, picks everything for 168. But then you will notice that it is not a value yet. You have done that, but then you now need to convert to value. Because if it is a value, it should be on this side, on the right-hand side. I talked about this when we're doing that data cleaning in that cell. But then without wasting the time, let's just do what we are supposed to do, right? And from what we have explained in the class, we're supposed to use, number one, use clean function, right? Use clean function to clean it. And that's to say clean, right? And pick it. It's as simple as that. It has cleaned it. You understand? Then, now that it is clean, it is not a value. You now create another column to now use value function to convert it to value. The same way we talked about it in the class. You understand? That's what you're expected to do. Now, that same thing is the correct way to do it, but I'm going to do it, that same thing. I don't need to create another. I wouldn't need to, okay, let's just do that. So now we can now say that, let's say equals to, convert it to value, right? And convert this to value. And that's, now it is correct now. So we can drag this down, then drag this down and copy and paste value in it and delete all those ones. That's fine. Okay, let's finish it, right? Let's finish it and let's finish it, right? Then we can now paste value, copy, we can copy, sorry. Yes, we can copy all, right? And we can select all rather, then copy, then come back here and paste as value, right? Paste as value, right? And then delete all of this. Delete all of this. And you can see that because that is now correct, all these ones are now correct. So that is how to do it, right? All right.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please ask a question.
Sorry, I discovered something. I thought I knew it earlier, but outside, just a little bit outside of this, in the dragging down.
Yes.
Now, I noticed that in the assignment you gave us, there was a particular one, I think it was up to 14,000 and stuff. And
Yes.
after I've done it, I saw that flash fill was not working for it. And so I had to drag down and all that. And dragging down was a whole lot, dragging down to 14,000 from the beginning. So I was trying to ask if there is a way to do because if I try to do the control shift down, it doesn't.
So you notice that I've been saying dragging down, but I don't actually drag down. Let me undo it. Okay. Let's say, let me come here. If I type 23, for example, if I come here and then, so if I need to drag this down, I will use drag down. But in the case of the times that I used, in the case of, let me do undo multiple times, right? Yes. Now this now, right? I don't need to drag this down. I can just, because what is here is, is reference to a formula, is referencing this cell, right? And if I drag down, is expected to be picking that reference down on this side like this, right? So yeah, if I'm dragging down, the data set is 14,000 for that assignment, right? It will take time. So I'll just put my cursor here on this edge. That box, the cell, the box, it has two vertices at this end. The up,
yes.
Is it vertices or edge? Two edges,
The
right?
edges. Yes.
Yes. The up one and the down one. So put it on the down one. Once you put it on the down one, you see that the cross sign on that icon, it will change from what it is now to this.
It will be slimmer. Yes.
Slimmer. So when you put it there and double click, it will drag down by itself. It will cover all of them.
Okay. Because
Yes.
I was saying that dragging down was a very, very long thing.
So alternatively, what you can also do is that, let's say you want to use sum, right? You can just put the sum like this, right? Not the first cell, like something like this. You can pick it, and then instead of dragging it down to select all of them, you can just put your column, not semicolon, column, and go and type the last one. Let's say this is going to be I, right?
Yes, I do that when it is sum.
Maybe
I do that when it is sum, 14,385. I do that. But when it is formula and you have finished it and I want to drag down for the rest is what I'm looking at.
So I think that I've answered it, right?
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right. So I was going to show you, okay. Now, we have cleaned that data set, right? We have taken the error away, but I have done undo because I want to show you another way, right? It is still the same way, actually, it's the same thing. But this time around, I want to use that clean function as a nested function. That, we used two functions there. We did clean and value, right? That is, we first of all clean, we now converted what we cleaned. We converted it to value. So I'm going to use a nested function to actually achieve that now. So I'm going to say, now this time around, we start with clean function. We clean, we now converted what we clean to value. But now if I want to use a nested function, I'm going to say value, right? Right? So I want to convert something to value. But what do I want to convert into value? I want to convert a clean of this one. So I'll say clean function, right? Then text. I'll select the text. I'll close the first close, that is, and I'll use another close bracket to close. So if you look at this function here, it means I first of all clean G2, which is this. That clean G2 are now converted to value. So if I say this, enter like this, it will do it once and for all. So I don't need to first of all say I want to clean, then create another one to say convert to value, right? And this is going to answer it. And I'm going to drag it down the same way. Now look at my dragging down. I'm using what I said. Put it on the edge and double click. It has done the drag down. Then I can now copy all, right? And then paste as value. Paste as value, right? And after doing that, I can now come to click to delete this, and everything is fine. I hope we understand it.
Yes.
I hope we understand it. Any question? Any question? Okay.
Okay, sir. Well done, sir. For the region period, sites rather, I noticed that the southeast is written in capital letter. Then there is one that is written on smaller letter. Are we to change it or it remains like that?
I'm actually looking for the one that is written in small letter. I've not seen it, but then it shouldn't be an issue, right?
Okay, sorry. On this, okay. It's not. It's on. The letters are smaller than the other one. Okay.
So that's not an issue actually.
Okay.
All right. What I thought should be your concern is we have SE. Are they not repeating value? Are they not duplicate? Like it data is duplicated. For example, you have Brad Asher here, Nutrimik, Southeast. You know, it looks like some data are duplicated here. Are you concerned? And duplicate can also be that there's error in the data set.
I don't think they are the same.
But the customer is different. We have ShopRite
The
and
customer is different, exactly.
Yeah.
ShopRite and KFC.
Thank you. So that's what I was going to talk about, right? That's why I said when you get the data set, please go through the data set before going ahead to analyze. So the meaning of this is that this from the first one, Norman Ritter, right, is a salesperson in that organization, right? He sells Nutrimilk. He sells it to Southeast region, right? And the store he sells it to is A&S store. He sells on this date at this price, this number of item and this revenue. After the same thing, he sells it Nutrimilk in the Southeast, but then the store he sells it to in that Southeast is ShopRite, right? Now, on this date. Now, the second day, the same guy sell that same Nutrimilk in that same region, but to another customer, KFC. You understand? And you can see he sold 10 to the first to ShopRite, he sold 11 to KFC. And you can see that it's not an issue, right? So, but then it's just good to call it out because duplicate can also be an issue, right? But if you have with your mind, go through the data set, you can see that, oh, okay, it's not an issue. Then we can go ahead. Now, if you look at all the data, this data set now, for me, I can't see any issue again, right? But then if you see anything that looks like an error, you can quickly point out. Because if we did not clean all of them, we cannot go ahead to the pivot table. But now that you have cleaned, I think it's clean actually anyway, so we can move. So we are going to deploy all the data set into the pivot table. And this is how to access the pivot table. Now, to deploy the data set into the pivot table where we can now go ahead, to run our analysis, what you do is that number one, select any cell within the table. Please don't go and select this area. Select any cell within the table, anywhere. Then, to see your pivot table, there is no area in Excel where pivot table is written. So if you are looking for pivot table within all these tabs, you will not see it, right? But to access the pivot table, right, you come to insert. Oh, pivot table is even there. Don't mind me, it's there. It is which other what I said I will explain in the next at the end of the class. That is Power Query Editor. Sorry, Power Query Editor. All right. So to access your pivot table, come to Insert tab, and then you see the first group. It's called the table group. You will see the pivot table in there. Right. So click on the pivot table. Then the dialog box will come out. Please read the dialog box carefully. So it's asking you, what is the table range? You can see that it has selected, because we selected an area within that table before we click pivot table. So it has selected it. You see that you see the lines there that shows that an area is selected. And you see that the selected table is locked. You can see $sign everywhere is locked. So that will make sure that another table that may be somewhere here is not selected. We are just going to select the table and maintain the table that we actually want to work with. Now, to ask another question, where do you want to put the pivot table? Is it on a new worksheet? Should you create a new worksheet for it, or on this existing worksheet? If you click existing worksheet, it's most likely going to erase this data set itself, which is not fine, right? So I always advise, click new worksheet. You understand? For this purpose, right? There will be other reasons, other time that we'll not need to clean, we'll not use to use new worksheet. But then just make it a culture to use new worksheet, right? And then once you have set new worksheet, if you have selected existing worksheet, it will not ask you what's the location on that existing worksheet that you want to create a pivot table. But now that you have set new worksheet, we are good to go, right? Then we'll say okay. And now you can see that a new sheet had been created, right? That is called, this sheet is now where your pivot table is. And you can see what is there. That is quite different to, you can see this area, you can see this area. This is the pivot table. This is our data set. You understand? So this sheet one you are seeing here is a pivot table. You can go ahead and rename it, any name you want to call it. I'm going to call it summary, like my summary table now, right? So this is a pivot table. Meanwhile, everything is not a pivot table. This is an Excel. This is still the Excel sheet. But this area that you are seeing, you can see pivot table one. This area you are seeing here is called a pivot table. If I select it now, you will see that something will pop up here that is called the pivot table field. If I select the normal Excel, you know, the Excel cells, nothing is there, it has gone. So this is the normal Excel. You can still do everything that you will do on the normal Excel. You can still do it there. But once you get to this place, this is the pivot table. So these are pivot table, right? And then once you're on the pivot table, you will see the area, just the area called the pivot table, right? And that's where your analysis, don't forget about how I define the pivot table. That's where this, you know, the summary, the analysis, the visualization, and the interpretation of the data set can then be done. And look at, listen, how we're going to do the data set, right? Now, this area is very important because the next assignment that I'm going to give to you, okay, the first one will most likely be a test task, right? Then after that, we'll do a very short project, right? Which is going to come, I'm going to give to you also a very short project and we are going to present it in the class. We'll talk about it after we are done, when I'm about to give the assignment, right? All right, so if you look at this pivot table that we have, you will notice this area on the right-hand side, right? That is called the pivot table field. Now, this pivot table field will list, you see this area that lists all the columns. In this area, it is all the columns that we have in the actual table that you will see there. And that is why it's always good to make sure that you have named your columns very well, because what you have here is what we showed there. We can't come here to come and edit anything. It's picking it from the data set, right? So we have all the columns here, right? All the columns, and down it you can see 4 fields. 1, 2, 3, 4. The filter field, the column field, the row field, and the value field. Now, by default, any of the columns, right, in the data set that has been formatted to be number, to be value, not just number, value, you can see that we converted some to value. So those ones that have value in them, like this item price, this number of item, and revenue, if you select them in this pivot table, if you select them, you can see, you can check anything here. If you select them on the pivot table, by default, they come under this value field. And the reason is because that's the column that you can perform your normal operation, your normal arithmetic operation on, like this times this, or this plus this, the total sum of this. You understand? So that comes to value by default. But if you move it away from value, it means that you will not be able to do this plus this, or this times this, right? You will not be able to do this plus this, or this times this, and all of that. You will not be able to do it. You understand? So take note of that, right? Now, these columns can be dragged into any of these fields that we have here, and you will see how it works, right? As just now, as I'm going to be explaining them. But at any point, if you want to take this pivot table field away, you can come and close it here, right? If you close it here, even though I am on the pivot table, I'm not seeing it. So if I need to bring it back, it's simple, right? Now, if you look at on the pivot table, one of the things that you will notice is that apart from the normal tab that we used to have, 2 tabs has been introduced. We have the pivot table analyze tab and the design tab, right? So it is there because we are on the pivot table. Now, if I click the normal Excel, right, you can see that those tabs has gone. But if I return to the pivot table, you see that they will come back. So these are particular for the pivot table. So if you click the pivot table, you will see this area that has show. If you click the pivot table analyze tab, right, you see this area that has the show group, right? And on it, you see field list. It is not selected. Now, if I select it, your pivot table field list can come up like this. And if you cancel it, it will go up and it will be unchecked here. So if I need it again, I'll pick it from there, right? That's how to bring that pivot table field list out. Now, I can now go ahead. Of course, you can see other things here, right? But then I'm not going to talk about them. We discuss them as we go ahead in the discussion, right? So I can now go ahead to do my analysis, right? So we can do several things here. My analysis is starting. Analysis, don't forget, we defined pivot table. We said the pivot table is used to summarize. So let's see summary. The first thing I'm going to ask you, let's look at this data set, right? Let's look at this data set. If I ask you that how many products are sold in this organization, can you answer here now? If I ask that how many products are sold, can you answer?
Maybe one.
One. It's just one, just Nutri-Milk.
Just one product, right?
Yes,
That's fine. And that is Nutri-Milk, right?
Yes.
Right? So let's come into the pivot table. Now let me select products. I've selected products. How many products are you seeing? So do you know before that the organization still sell drinking water, fruit juice, milk tea, water dispenser? Do you know before?
No.
No. So you were seeing Nutri-Milk because Nutri-Milk, you know, let's go there again. So Nutri-Milk, if you keep scrolling down, Nutri-Milk, 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 but you are not scrolling down enough. If you keep going down, it will change. Let's keep going down. Nutri-Milk is just at the top, right? Right? Now we are on milk tea. You can see? So if you say you want to know and you are scrolling, you may not even be specific. I mean, you may not even get it correctly because the data set is long. And don't forget, even all this data set that we are working with, they are still not plenty. Forget the fact that that assignment has 14,300 and something rows. It's not still plenty because as a data analyst, what gives you joy is data. So you'll be working with data. You understand? So if you are working as a data analyst, you won't be expecting data set of maybe 1,000. You'll be expecting data set in 50,000, in 100,000 and millions rows. You understand? So if you want to know all things, you want to get your information by just scrolling like this, you will not be accurate. You understand? So that's why the pivot table is there. So you can see now, just selecting it, the products, it has summarizes that column for us. That column has 5 products in it. You understand it now? That's why we say this pivot table is used to summarize. You can see how you just bring out the summary to us. The summary of number of products that are sold. I just see it here, and I can say that it is 5. Do you understand it now? So that's why we say that the pivot table is used to summarize. But one of the things that you see here is that I'm seeing row label. It's supposed to be showing this number of products where I'm seeing row label. I can change that. And to change that, just note this somewhere in your jotter. To change this heading, this heading, right? You come to pivot table analyze, to the design tab. So design tab, you see the layout group, select report layout, right? And come and select show in tabular form. Once you select show in tabular form, it has changed, right? So if your own is showing like that, that's how to correct it. Show in tabular form. Now you can see that the products are 5. Now, if I know, so with this on this screen now, we can begin to get more insight into the data set, into that data set we are working with. So we can see that.
Excuse me, can I say something?
Okay, I can hear you.
Now, when you said when we went to the page where we saw that it was only Nutri-Milk before we scroll down. I think if we use this page now, if we use sort and filter, I think we will be able to see all the products if we use a sort and filter. That's
Yes.
control L.
Yes, you can see it, of course. But then, would you be looking for all those things? Of course, it's not. Those ways. Don't forget that in Excel there are many ways. Like I've also said, there are many ways to perform your single task, but some are smarter than the other. As a matter of fact, you are talking about doing filter. I'm going to show you here now. So if I want to see everything, I'll just use something you call unique function. Look at unique, right? And I'm going to select all of them, and say enter. Can you see it has listed them in? Of course, have you heard of unique function before? So there are many ways to do it, but then some are smarter than the other. Do you understand it now? So what is there now? I've listed it out using the unique function. So there's a function for you to note now, unique function. But that's not what we are doing. All right.
Okay.
So, all right. So you can see that is on the pivot table. So we say it is used to summarize. Now, I want to see, I just use that to show you something now. I want to see the revenue we get from, I don't even want to start with that. I just use that to show you, what we mean by summary. But then one of the first I've unchecked now, you can see that it has gone. Now look at it now. I want to know what is even the total revenue made at the end of the day. What is the total revenue throughout the business? What is the total revenue? I'll just come here and check revenue, right? Check revenue, right? You can see that when I checked, what I checked the other time, product, it was under row. But when I check revenue, because revenue is talking about number, right? Value, it brings this under value. You can see, and immediately I can see the sum of revenue. So throughout that sales, right? Our total revenue sold by all the salesperson is 1,351,093.15 naira. You understand? Summary has made me to, I don't need to go and be using sum to sum them together, all those stress. Once I just click, it summarizes it for me. So if I want to do another thing, so I need this information, I'm going to keep it, right? So don't forget that the pivot table, the other time it wrote pivot table 1. So if I need to do another thing now, if I check another place, this is not a pivot table, this is the normal Excel. So if I want to use the pivot table again, I'm going to copy it, right? You can see I'm going to copy it and come and paste here. So this is another pivot table. So I need this information, I'm going to leave it there, right? But then this is another one here, right? So here, once I have selected this, once I'm on this pivot table, I can now go ahead and uncheck what was there before and put the new thing I want to get. For example, I want to know what is the total number of items that was sold. You know that by Asha sold this number, Norman Rita sold this number. What is the total number of items that all of them sold at the end of the day? I can just come and check this, right? And I can see sum of number of items, right? But then sum, yes, sum. So it's going to sum all the number of items together, and the total number of items sold is 7,997 items at the end of the day. You can see now summary is helping me. So I can always come back to do so many other things there now. If I need to get another summary for other things, of course, I'm going to copy the same way, right? And this time around, I want to compare. I want to begin to do my comparison, right? So let me uncheck this for this particular one. I don't want to see number of items, right? Better still, sorry. Let me copy this. Let me cut this and put it here. All right. All right. Let me just make it closer. All right. So I'm on this particular pivot table, right? Now, so I want to compare the salesperson, right? These are the salesperson now. So even before now, we don't know how many salesperson are there. So they are just 12. This number of salesperson are just 12. We do not know from here. They are just salesperson. And it looks like the salesperson are many. You can see, it looks like there are many. No, they are not all. It's not that number. The total number of salesperson in the organization are just this number. And I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's just 12. So I want to see the salesperson and then the revenue they generated, each of them generated. So I'm going to select, because when I selected salesperson, it comes under row. I can pick it here and bring another column, and it's going to look like this, depending on how you want to put the format you want your table to be like. But then I'm not going to use this. You're going to consume my page, right? And it may not look professional. So I'll return it to the row, right? And then I want to compare it with the revenue. I'm going to check revenue, and revenue comes to sum. So at the end of the day, I can now see that, oh, Arnold Cole actually generated, 102,000 for us, for the organization. You can see now how the data set is now, helping you to see the performances in that organization as a data analyst, right? So we can see that, oh, who is the person that generated more for us? We can see from here. I think it's this guy, Von Allen. You can come here, I can right click here and then sort it, right? You can sort it from largest to smallest, right? So Von Allen, so this is to the order of how they have performed. So our top guy, our star boy is Von Allen. He generated the revenue of 180,000 for us, right? And then Marcus Scott, Makulov Scott. I mean, why is this guy not performing? This is how data analysts now think, right? Usually in the organization, in every organization, the people that used to position themselves as boss in every organization that are not actually boss. Usually, if you have noticed, we have worked with most organizations, it's usually people in the HR department, because they feel they can hire and fire. So people used to fear the HR department of the organization. HR is there. So some other person, right? That these ones are even more than the HR department, right? Data analysts, because data analysts, they're the one that help the company to make decision. The company rely on data analysts for decision. So they always feel at the top of the world. So, and this is how they feel. Because when they have the access to the data, what you are doing, you that you are in the organization, I mean, you are popping up like a big boy. All the performances, your activities, they are coming back to the data analyst, because he can have access to them and he can analyze them and compare with what other persons are doing. So even though you are making you are doing big boy to the face of people, he knows internally that this guy is not really performing. We know he's not performing. You understand? And then he can go ahead to the board. Of course, he will always have access to the board of director or to the management in their discussion, because they will bring him across, right? And begin to discuss one or two things with him, right? And he will advise them that, oh, this person. So maybe Mark Scott is the finest guy, right? And he's always wearing the designer in the whole of the office, carrying himself. People like him and all of that. The data analyst already knows that, oh, this guy is not performing. So when he gets to the board of directors, he will raise some important question to ask. Okay, Von Allen is making 180, generating 180 for us, right? This guy that is generating, let's discuss about him in the meeting. No, let's discuss about him. What are his issues? Why is he finding it difficult to sell? You understand? So these are the discussion that goes on behind that normal employee will not know, right? So why is it difficult? Then we begin to attach other questions to it. So let's see the area is selling to. So we can now go ahead to go and see the region, right? We can go ahead to go and see the regions they are all selling to. Let's check the region, right? And then this is region. It also comes under this place. So let me bring the region to this place, right? So we can see that I brought the region to the what do you call it? To the column field. And we can see that, where is that guy now? Marcotte. He actually sell in Northwest, but he's not selling in every other region. But okay, Ballon that actually make the best sale also is selling in the Northeast. He's not selling in another region. So maybe this guy is just comfortable, right, selling here. And this guy is not comfortable selling here. Then we can ask for that question. What tribe is it? What language does he speak? You understand? So Northwest is where we have Hausas, right? Northwest. I mean, let's use Nigeria to discuss it, right? Northeast are places like Borno, right? Where we have so much insurgencies, right? Borno, Yobe, that's Northeast. Then Northwest are areas like KB, Sokoto, right? That's on this other side, right? If you look at Nigeria these days, you see that the kidnapping, Boko Haram, the record of them is very low in Northwest, but we have them more in Northeast. So maybe this guy, but then he's in the North, right? North is known for insurgency and all of that. We are just thinking around based on what is happening at that time, in that area. So maybe this guy is a Yoruba guy, for example, is in the Southwest, and we have deployed him to the North to go and sell. This guy may actually have issues selling in the North, because selling in the North means that you have to speak Hausa, right? So these are the activities that will go on behind that, and they can also, okay, let's transfer this guy. Let's return him back to the place where he's probably comfortable to sell. You understand? So he will just wake up someday and they will offer him a letter that he has been transferred. Of course, he won't know the reason why he's been transferred, right? He is already feeling, comfortable there. Maybe he has money there. He already has a house in there, or he has, permission to use this area. He has babes around there, and they have transferred him. He'll be feeling pain. How will you transfer me? I'll write a petition, or I don't know how they want to manage it. But then internally, the organization has discussed and said that this guy is not really performing. We expect him to do this, and he's doing this. And if someone is doing this, otherwise, they may even say that, okay, let's bring this guy to this same state and let's bring him to work closely with this guy, with Von Allen, so that Von Allen can also, maybe when two of them work together, he can learn from Von Allen. These are the activities that can happen that will now lead to a particular decision that has been made. So you can see how the data generated is already helping the organization to make some important decision. You understand? So these are how data analyst thinks. So the pivot table is already helping us to do some, some summary, right? The data summary, right? So, but then for now, I'm just going to leave this particular activity here, right? So I want to compare another information, and to do that, right? I am going to do that, I am going to copy again, right? Copy, and that's the idea when you're using pivot table in Excel. When you're working with Excel, doing analysis in Excel, you always copy your pivot table from one place to another, right? So I can come here and uncheck salesperson, right? And uncheck this guy, and maybe now I want to compare products and the regions we are selling them into, right? Let me drag the region, or better still, let's check salesperson. Let's take region away, salesperson. Let's check product away, and then let's compare salesperson and then the customer they are selling to, right? Customer they are selling to. So we can see that Arnold Co. Okay, they are all selling to the 5 customers. So we can see that clearly from here. They are all selling to the 5 customers. So let's take this away. So I'm just walking around the pivot table to give us a good understanding of how it's, it is being used, right? Now, let me compare customer and maybe the revenue from each of the customer. So we see that, look at our product here. Where's our product again? Okay, we have unchecked our product, right? Now we see that we make more money in from KFC, right? And look at the caliber of stores that we have. We have A&S store. This is not popular. We have KFC. We have Mr. Biggs. We have ShopRite, and we have Spar. Let me show it open to us. Out of all these stores, which one would you think that as a company, which one of these stores should we make the highest revenue? Which one of this list of
ShopRite. ShopRite should make more.
Yes, because we know that ShopRite is a big store, right? And then people get into ShopRite more, right? They probably have the highest, the highest list of customer base, right? But KFC is doing more. What could possibly be a reason? right? A data analyst is always asking questions anyway, trying to know what is happening. So can we look at this data set, look at everything and just suggest what most likely be a reason why ShopRite, why KFC is selling better than every other time. If you look at the margin is quite like 425,000 compared to 244. And even Spa that always have customers also, 227. What could be the reason?
I think because KFC sells already made, let's say, item that is ready to be consumed immediately. Just from my own understanding.
Well, what I'm thinking is, can we compare the products? Are they selling the same products or different products?
Yes, all of them, okay, that are the customers selling the same product. Of course, we know what they are selling, right? They are not selling the same thing, right? KFC sells food.
So
Mr. Biggs, Mr. Biggs also sells food, right? ShopRite is a general, it sells everything. Spa also sells everything. But if you want to check by that, but KFC and Mr. Biggs are selling almost the same thing. So if it is on that reason, they should align.
Okay.
They should align.
Okay, so I feel maybe in KFC there is more of customer satisfaction there. Like most of the services rendered in KFC is of top class than Mr. Biggs.
Okay, so when we have that reason now, so we'll now go and look for a data, right, that can help us, that can help us to really diagnose that. So we have suggested something around customer satisfaction. So it means that if we'll now go to the database, right, and go and extract more data that talks about customer satisfaction and analyze that data to prove if that is true, so that we can back up our claim and present to the organization that we need to work on our customer servicing and all of that, because this shows that this happened, this also shows that this happened. So that's how it works in data analysis. So if there are no data as it is now with this data set we have, there's none of the data, there's none of the column that is speaking to customer servicing. So we may not really be able to pick that. So if you really need to pick that as a reason, it means that we'll now begin to make research on that and begin to, collect data regarding that, or go through the database and go and find out if we've been collecting data around that and extract the data and bring it together to this data set and analyze them together. Do you understand how the analysis activities are now doing? But then I don't really see that that's the reason. Look at my own reason.
Can I also look into something? Sorry.
Okay, please look into something.
Now, if we can try to make a comparison between that KFC and Mr. Biggs, like they are selling the same set of products, can we look at the regions where KFC made more sales?
Okay, that's fine.
Maybe they are selling more in the southeast, or maybe in the southwest, and maybe Mr. Biggs is not meeting up, or maybe they have more outlets, maybe they have more shops or things like that. Can we look as in a deeper, more detailed comparison between both of them?
Yes. So let's look at region. Let's check in region. That's what it means. So we want to check the regions. We have checked the region. So we have seen that A&S store in Northeast, he sell this amount, Northwest, this amount. So these are the amount they sell in each of the region. KFC. So KFC sell these amounts in that region. That same region that this one is selling 70,000. Mr. Big is selling 72. And then what was the other one? ShopRite is selling 92. E is selling 174. So we can see the region comparison. Spa is selling 65. And that's all. Can you see the comparison?
So that means.
So what do you want to compare with this?
So that means KFC actually does more, I think, in two major regions.
So KFC are good in Northeast,
and then Southwest.
And Southwest. Yes.
As compared to every other person, they do far more in Northeast and Southwest. So what we'll now be looking at is, okay, in that Northeast, maybe taking Northeast as an example, Why are they doing better than every other person? Or why are the others not meeting up? Then also in the Southwest, same thing. Why are they doing better than every other person? All the others are not even up to. That's what I can see from it.
Yeah, so everything is fine, right? There's no one way, right? Everything is just, I mean, we are just thinking around the data that is at hand, right? But then all of our claim must be backed up with the data. So if the data is not available, we'll need to go and look for that data and compare with them. So those are the brain work that comes into trying to analyze, all this information, right? So another thing we can also do is now to now look at the actual product they are selling, right? Just like somebody just mentioned it. So we can look at the product they are now selling. We couldn't complete okay, because there is this pivot table here. So let me create this space. Insert, right? So let's come back here and check products, right? So we can now see the product also compared with it. So they are not, we can see the value of what they are making in those areas, right? But then I don't want to make this is the first explanation on pivot table, so I don't want to make it maybe make it big yet, right? Because we still have others to do, right? But then this is my own reason. This is my own reason why I think KFC is selling more, right? Look at let me check this region away first. Right. Look at this, all of them. What are they selling? Let's look at the products they are selling, right? Let's look at the products they are selling. These are the products they are selling, right? Drinking water, fruit juice, milk tea, Nutri-Milk, water dispenser. They are all drink. It's just like Coca-Cola that sells Coke, Fanta, and that water, they sell water too, right? And now, if you look at all these stores, this is a store, this ShopRite and Spar. It is not everybody, they have so many people because they are supermarkets. There are so many people that enters into them, right? It is not all of them that goes there to go and buy beverages. Some go there to buy soap. So everything is there. So the fact that we have more people entering there does not mean that more of them are buying beverages, they are buying drink. But KFC are selling food. There's no way you buy food without buying drink. Do you understand it? There's no way, even though I understand that this reason should also fall for Mr. Biggs, because Mr. Biggs also buys food anyway. But we can also agree that Mr. Biggs is already going off the market. You understand? There were times that Mr. Biggs is a big restaurant that people talk about. But this day, how many Mr. Biggs outlets do we have now? It's no more. I can't even recall a place now where there is Mr. Biggs. I think there is one at Agidingbi, right? Where that mobile filling station is. And that's the only one I can remember. I can't even remember any other Mr. Biggs, right? But KFC are still spread around, right? And they sell food. So can this not be the reason? Even though I still agree that whatever thing is the reason to actually justify it as a data analyst, we must have a data now back it up full. But then we can reason around that at first. These are supermarkets. People come into the supermarket to buy because they sell almost everything. And people are buying, some are in the just right, for example, to buy electronics. They'll be in the they will be in the mall, they'll be in the vicinity, right? Some will come there to come and buy spray and soap and what do you buy? Cosmetics, all of that. You'll see them there. Some will come there to buy clothes, they will be there. So you are always likely, if I'm coming, Mr. Godwin, you are likely to always see, is possible to always see people flooding malls, supermarkets, because they sell all of those things. But KFC is specific, and you can see that what they sell is, it complements the product that the organization is actually selling. They sell food, and each time you buy food, you buy drinking water with it, or you buy fruit juice. So this may be a pointer to the reason why KFC is actually selling, as I sell better than every one of them. All right, Mr. Godwin.
Can we also say, is it also safe for us to say that the time, that is the date of the sales, also determine, it's also a factor for their high Selling
Let's bring
turnout.
dates into it. So let's create another pivot table somewhere
Okay.
here.
So for example, during festive period.
Yeah, so let's look at the date. So let's uncheck. Okay, let's bring date into it. Let's not uncheck anything yet, and let's bring dates. So you have to be, when using dates, you have to be careful. So when I check dates now, note that date has four components. Date has day, date has month, date has year. Is that not so? You write it today's date. How do you write it? Day, month, and year. Then another thing in date that I've mentioned three that is also hidden is quarter. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So if I click this date, you're going to see all of them. So if you look at, so when you click, it has come to the row, right? And you will see some other things. It has splitted it. I actually click date, but I'm seeing years, I'm seeing quarter, I'm seeing month, I'm seeing day, right? Date, that is for day. So you need to actually understand how those things are, how they mean, right? Now, I can, okay. Now we can see from this data set that for A&S store, now do we even know that the data set cover for 2 years? Do we know before now that it cover for 2010 and 2011? We don't even know. But Pivot Table has made us to know now that this data set we have, this sales revenue that they generated it within 2 years. How will somebody generate 1.3 million within 2 years? All right. Maybe that was then. Maybe at that time that money is so valuable. 2010, 1.3 million is not valuable for a manufacturing company of this kind, right? All right, let's go ahead. That's just to ask more questions. So let's see now. So within this year, they sell 108 in 2010 and 114. Let's look at the KFC. They sell this amount in 2010 and this amount in 2011. We can even write down. If you look at those behind the icon behind the years, you see that there is plus, means that there are more to it. So you can go ahead to click. So if you click it, we'll see it in quarter. So the quarter that they sell the most, right? 29,000 in Q1, 22,000 in. So in 2010, they have more sale in Q1. And that is likely to be that in January 1st. You understand? And Q4, if you look at Q4 also, Q4, okay, Q4 maybe because of the December that is there. So we can go and dive into it per month, right? Let's say per month. So they sell more in March. Of course, February, people have spent money in January. So in February, no money. People are managing in February until, all of those things, right? But then in March, what could be the reason why they have bought more in March? We can think about January. We can think about January, right? Let's even look at that January. When in January did they actually buy well? So you can see that in January 1st, people buy, but on the 7th of January, people even make more sales. They make more sales on the 7th. You make more on the 13th. So it is fine that we understand that they have sell better in January 1st. Okay, they didn't even sell in January 1st. This is 4th. So we didn't even see what they sold in January 4th. They didn't even sell in January 4th. So maybe they're on holiday. Public holiday. There was no sale made on that day, right? But then January becomes their most, top sale within the quarter. We don't know what will happen in the other quarter, but within that first quarter, they sell more in January 7th. So we can, it can for okay, I'm on A&S store rather. Okay, maybe for A&S store rather, A&S store. So we can also pointers can also point us to lead us to recall the activity that happened on that particular day. You understand? And begin to look what happened on the 7th of January 2010. So let's see the things that happened. So maybe we can prototype the activities then. Maybe that day we run a kind of campaign, right? We brought DJ to the mall, to the store, to call people's attention. And people come in, they begin to buy. So if you feel that we are not making sales, let's prototype what we did then and, you know, try to apply it now. Maybe it will also help, you know, our activity. I hope you understand. I'm actually going to stop here, right? But then we have more to explore with the pivot table. But then we're going to stop it around there. And if there are any questions, please ask a question. I don't want to keep us in our time. You know that we're all family person. All right, any question at this point? We're going to start from here from the next class, actually, right? But then so far, do you have any question? Any question, anybody? Nobody has a question.
None from me, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. So, in the absence of any question, let me collapse this. Collapse this. And maybe collapse this. So, I'm going to save this thing here like this, and we're going to pick this discussion from this point, right? So we are already seeing the summary, how pivot table helps us to summarize, and we are already making the analysis. You can see analysis generally, the word analysis means to break down. That's the meaning of analysis, to break down. And you can see how we have been using data to break down all those activities. We trace it down to weeks, we trace it down to day, right? We are asking questions. Those are analysis. We are making analysis. When sport analysts are making the analysis, they are trying to, you know, break down the performances of, if you are talking about the performance of a player, they're trying to break down the activities of what he's doing, how many goals does he score, how he's able to score the goal, who gives him the assist and all of that. So those are analysis, and that's what we do on the pivot table. I hope you understand. All right, thank you very much. In the absence of any questions, I think we can stop it here and call it a day here. Meanwhile, before we go, right, because this is Sunday, I'm not going to leave a whole week for us not to do anything. So we're going to pick the last assignment from the last as this particular task. We have done section 1 and section 2, right? So we can go ahead to do section 3 and section 4 now and submit. You know what the idea is. Our next class is on Thursday, 8 p.m. on Thursday. Please let's submit it on or before 12 noon of that Thursday, so that I can look at it and then, you know, work with it when we resume the class. And I plead, if you have done it earlier than that, kindly submit so that I can have enough time to also look at it. Thank you very much. So we have a task for this week, section 3 and section 4 of the Excel task on bank loan application data. All right, thank you very much. So on this note, we can call it a day. Thank you for your time, everyone. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Very
Thank
great.
you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.